and welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast.
At what age do we learn how to have better conversations? At what age do we learn to have better conversations with ourselves?
Hello, I like to do self-improvement type stuff. I like to learn. I like to shove knowledge down my gullet and see if I can understand some of it. And I like to share that with other people in the form of recommendations at the beginning of my podcasts. So here you are today. I'm going to recommend The Rebirth of Nature. That is on the Rupert Sheldrake YouTube channel. That came out a week ago. I listened to it on my way up to a hike yesterday. Frick, it made me think a lot when I was just looking out at the craziness that is nature. It was awesome. Check it out. The Rebirth of Nature, Rupert Sheldrake. This episode is with Mack and Faul. It's awesome. These are a couple of my buds. It's interesting to see the dynamic and the just weird shifts that have happened since then. That was March 14th, I think, was when we recorded it, and the lockdown came into play in our area the 16th. It was a very quick flipped switch. So it's interesting to listen to the vibes, the differences in tonality about certain things. I think it's something definitely worth pointing out and taking a look at and kind of listening to. If you're listening to anything that's old or newer, just the shifting vibes, how they are day to day, and how our attitudes are so transformed and instantly changed by the news and scare tactics and what's real and what's not. Shit, who the hell knows what's real with this crazy news section going on? So do what you can to take care of yourself. Be aware of the changing times. Be as clean as you can. Don't hang out with a ton of people. Just pick a select few. Keep sane. Take care of your grandma. Let's get going with the podcast. Cheers, friends.
When I jumped off and injured myself.
I don't think I've heard this one.
When I jumped off the Kalama Bridge.
It changed my life.
Were you like 19?
Yeah,
like
I can see
else?
it's recording, so we're not
16?
not again.
Let's not start with that again.
Jessica and Mackenzie, my two wonderful friends.
What's up?
Welcome.
Hi.
How are you both today? Jessica, we'll start with you. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. Feeling pretty mildly inebriated at this point.
You don't feel full of any virus or anything, though?
No, I'm feeling okay. I got a little cough though, so.
Okay, keep it over there. Mackenzie, how are you doing? We'll ask her to leave if she coughs.
Leave.
Clear my throat. Let me clear my throat.
I am great. I'm happy to be back home, spending time with friends and family, and it's been really good.
How long are you grounded right now?
From work?
Yeah. Are you guys like canceling any flights, anything like that?
Yeah, flights are we went down, cut flights by 40%.
Damn.
So, and then we are grounding 300 planes. But I still have a schedule for the rest of March. So I'm going to work that. And then I get my April schedule on Monday. So we'll see.
You think it's going to change pretty drastically then?
Yeah. They offered people leave of absences without pay. But I don't want to do that. So we're just going to see. We're just going to see how, I need money to pay rent.
You're like, I didn't think 12 years ahead of time. I'm sorry.
And eat. And I didn't save any money recently. Yeah. So I really need that. But
yeah, I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of us are the same way.
Yeah.
How are you? Work mentioned their 401k.
Oh, 401k.
And she was like, you could take it. I'm like, bitch, I've been working here 6 months. Like, how much money do you think I have? Whew.
Oh, 401k, retirement. Those are things that,
it's scary to think about right now, too.
Yeah.
I know. Like, they seem so insignificant at times like these.
As far as like, oh, I have one, but that doesn't, like, that literally gets me nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, you got like $40. Sweet.
Right.
And it's taxed. So, I mean, hopefully I have more than that. Fuck.
So,
sorry, Tyler, if I don't.
Jake, I asked you how you were.
I'm answering. How am I? I'm doing pretty well. I feel like immediately my brain just goes to like, I'm stressed about the money thing, because like canceling a lot of shows. I played last night, but like got a text this morning like, hey, there wasn't a huge turnout, so we may not be doing DJs for the foreseeable future, because like if people are staying at home, there's just not a ton of people.
Where did you play last night?
I played at Silver Star last night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, just like little gigs canceling, and then like my spring tour canceling. Like your big stuff. Like my big stuff canceled too for audio directing. So stressed about that, but I feel overall fine. Like I think it's like, obviously Shaylee's gonna work, so we're not like hurting for money, but it's obviously I'm taking a hit in the pride, and that's like, it sucks having to like see her work and bust ass like front lines of this stuff.
And she's doing the hard stuff right now.
She's a nurse. Like it's if things get crazy, it's going to be certainly crazy to her first.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really have a choice with everything going on.
Right.
Like she has to go.
She's like she doesn't even.
She's a machine.
She's amazing.
Yeah, dude. I don't even like. I'll try to tell her about like some of it. I'm like, so there's like this thing going on. I'm like, so are we gonna freak out, or like what are we gonna do? Like I'm just trying to see where we're at in the relationship. And she's like, yeah, that's gonna fucking happen. And I'm like,
she says we're having a fucking game night.
Yeah, we're literally having a game night tonight.
I love her.
Yeah, dude. She's a leader like that. She steps into her role pretty well.
She faces a lot of stuff without like any hesitation.
Yeah.
Like if she has it, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Shaylee, we love you.
Shout out.
She's going to listen to this.
At Shaylee Morris.
She's going to be listening to this. Probably she'll be on her way home from work. So I hope she cries.
How many people do you think, sorry, Shaylee, here we go. Got to go on. How many people do you think listen? Because I know I listen to all my stuff when I'm like driving to and from work for the most part. Like, how many people do you think that listen to your podcast are doing it when they're like in their car?
I feel like gotta be quite a few.
Yeah.
But I feel like people nowadays do find time to like binge podcasts like at home. Like because some people will be like, oh, I just listened to 3 episodes of your podcast in a row.
You're like, damn, you had 6 hours? Sweet.
What? And I'm like, well, shit, I do that with other people's podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. I listen to Beto's in my car, but the one with you two, I listened to it in the airport. I had downtime between a flight and I just listened to it then. I listened to my own in my hotel room on a layover. But I feel like when I'm in my car, I'm like jamming out.
Yeah. I guess you're like in your car is a lot different than like our daily commute.
Yeah. So I'd say like, in the airport between flights and stuff is when I do it mostly. But then when mine came out, I was on a layover, so I was like, I need to listen to what I sound like.
Dude, it's because like you want to be so self-critical. Like I feel like I get it with a lot of people, because a lot of people on the podcast are just first time being on an interview or talking or anything. Like I don't have a ton of experience with it either. But like we're always so nervous. Like, oh, did I say this too much, or did I whatever, or did I say like too much? Did I say too much? Did I say so too much?
Me.
Did I say, ooh, that's interesting too much? That's what I say.
That's crazy too much.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's all
literally.
These things. But I was saying literally, yeah. Somehow we've taken the word literally in our society and made it mean the opposite of literally. What the fuck?
I'm guilty of that.
It's like 97% of our odd lingo is like, what? How did that get to that? Because that's not what it means.
Yeah, because we're saying things that I get what you mean. I get the feeling, because language is us just trying to communicate what feelings are.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying with a lot of the stuff that our words aren't exactly what they mean. When you say, oh, that's crazy. I was telling you guys, it's not exactly saying, oh, that is crazy. Like that's a profoundly textbook definition of crazy.
I don't believe that. Unbelievable.
I'm supporting what you're saying because that was like wild, and we're still floating with that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's cool that we like create like it's just support as we're talking, in conversations.
Well, I definitely think we're harder on ourselves. Like if I were to listen to you two, I wouldn't notice how many times you say like. I wouldn't notice these things. I'd just be invested.
I didn't notice. That's crazy. Like I literally texted Jake and Mackenzie and was like, you guys, I want a podcast with you. I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah,
like, nothing about it was like, you guys said like too much.
Right.
And I heard you say this too many times.
I feel like when it's ourselves, we're so hard on ourselves all the time.
Why do you think we need to do that? Is it just a comparison thing? Like,
I don't know.
Probably. It's just like a socialized kind of conditioning where you're like, don't say this too much because then you sound this way. Don't say this too much, Well, actually, I was trying to think about it with me. I think a lot of it's, we think that with the internet, we think that like we can be represented at once.
like no matter how hard you try, like you can't be represented in like a one podcast. Like, so it's like, oh, I have Mackenzie on. It's like, well, now you know everything about her. Like it's impossible. Like so we're like, I don't know, we're like so self-critical. We're like, oh great, people are going to think that I'm a so-and-so, because we're making the correlation of like, if I say like a lot, I'm some sort of like knucklehead, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, or I think everything's crazy.
Yeah, or you think everything's, you're like, we're gonna tell her any story because she's just gonna think it's crazy.
Every time
you're hyping me up and I don't even know what I'm hyped up about.
Yeah, every time Jake would say something, I'd be like, yeah, it's crazy because. And when I was listening to my podcast, I was like, wow, I think everything's crazy. Every single thing we're talking about.
I think sometimes that's just our way of like containing what we want to say. Like, you know how you automatically are like, okay, I'm going to start saying something. Because your brain is not listening. You're not listening well enough. So when you say things like that, you're like, okay, I'm keeping on task with them. Even if it's not really like relevant, you're keeping on task with their conversation.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Maybe we use it to like help ourselves focus too.
Yeah,
like
I have to. I think I have to.
Maybe I need to start to the sentence before I start saying like what I really mean. I just need to throw something out there first. And then I continue with my thought.
That's just a bed for my thought to write on.
So before every sentence, I'm going to say this.
Yeah, it's cool though, because when you do hear yourself, you know, I still do. You kind of default back into saying like and that sort of thing. But when I listen to myself, and now that I'm not so self-critical, like I've edited enough podcasts and heard my voice so many, like, 25, 35 times.
You are who you are.
I know. And I'm like,
or you could edit it out too.
Yeah.
You know, at the beginning, I feel like I did, I would be talking to someone and I would lose my train of thought. And I had like so much shame behind that.
We had that conversation in our podcast.
Yeah, dude. And I would like delete like that. I would try to like edit out that like 3-second, like, where I'm like apologize, like I'm so sorry, like because you think that you need to, I'm this impressive host, I'm this whatever. It's like they don't fucking think that.
No.
Yeah,
they know that like, oh, they also.
Have you ever listened to Joe Rogan
sometimes.
High? Tyler and I just did today.
Right,
and like he says, he like gets in the face of the person that's there, and he'll say something 17 times, and like he doesn't edit that shit out. He does not care.
Right? No, he used to do it all live.
I know. I love
definitely in my podcast with you, I think I was just like staring at your wall, and I totally lost train of thought what I was saying, and I was like, wait, where was I going with this?
I mean, that's a lot to like grab your mind there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has actually grown quite a bit since the last time that I think I was here.
Yeah, I've always had since I started doing it, I'd say once a week I write on it, maybe once every 2 weeks. But lately, I feel like it's like a few times a day. I've added like little things.
That's great. That means your mind's working.
Yeah, or I'm trying.
I didn't mean
to
it
make
like
it
that,
work.
but you know,
It means your mind's working. You're actually thinking, dummy.
Your brain is actually working. God, I'm doing great so far.
Nobody's here.
It is cool to see it as like it's my brain, you know, like because there's so many, whether it was like all the things I listened to or things that I read or lyrics that I heard or other motivational people who said it or poetry from me or whatever, like all these things are like just been such my life the last like 2.5 years, whatever. And so it's cool to see. It's like, oh yeah, that is like what your brain has been doing. It's a representation of.
Well, we talked about that before. I think you said the phrase like, welcome to my mind, because these are all thoughts that you've collected.
Jay said that. She came down from the podcast. She's like, wow, it's pretty crazy to be inside your mind or something like that. So
it definitely feels like that though.
I feel like that with when I lived alone, you know, in the old apartment.
Oh yeah.
I did so much art and so much writing, and I go back to it now and I'm like, who in the heck was that person? Where is that brain? But I don't get that same kind of alone time now. I get alone time, but it's just not the same like complete solitude. And I think about it and I'm like, dang, I had quite the brain. I have that same brain.
I was gonna say you still have it.
I do, but it's just I do less of the like invert type of like I would write it down. Now I just am like blah, and poor Tyler just has to hear it. He's like, okay.
Well, now that you guys like, do you have more space and time? Are you going to try to like dive into that side of your brain again?
Yeah, absolutely. I have like a I'm excited for you guys to come see it. Tyler has a room, like a whole room for his gaming and his time, because his alone time is his space, like that he needs, and he likes to play games, and I like to like create and read and draw and I don't know, like meld into this creator, I guess, but I have a little den that's like an art studio and like my little library, and my desk is there. It's technically my office.
Yeah.
But because it's a business now. That's where our office is.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, tell me about the business.
Yes.
We can and we cannot.
Oh, okay. Tell us certain things.
Okay, so we're rolling out, Lacey and I are rolling out a little business. A little like mobile bartending business. Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty cool because it's something like, and this is something like Lacey and I want to do together. We want to do a podcast. If we're going to do anything about it, we're going to do something like Lacey and I, because you got to hear from Lacey. She's the other half of this, you know?
Not so bad.
Dude, she's the shit. You're going to really cool. Yeah. You're going to, have you ever met her?
I don't think I've met her, but I've heard a lot about her.
My little Arizona gang is like,
yeah. Lacey from AZ.
Lacey from AZ.
I know, I always see her.
She's actually from Napa Vine. But like everyone knows them as my Arizona friends.
Yeah.
But we're starting a little just like mobile bartending. It's technically like bar catering because we don't sell alcohol. So we don't have to we get away with things like we don't have to have a liquor license, which is really expensive and really costly and really annoying. And then our goal is to like eventually build into a company that we can like, Lacey wants, like Brandon's doing wedding videography and Lacey wants to be doing stuff in the wedding industry or, right. We don't, Lacey's a bartender. She doesn't want to do that forever. I never wanted to do that forever. So we're just trying to like kind of do something that's like fun. Like we can come to your wedding for 4 to 6 hours and have a hell of a time and we're fun.
Yeah.
It's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
it's so taboo around here. There's really not, even like as much research as we've done, there's really not a lot of mobile bartending companies. There are like bartenders who will come to your event, but like we have an actual bar. We intend on having a little like trailer eventually that we can like, you want us to pop up at the Vancouver market? Okay. Here we are. We'll pour you some. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
control your own hours and stuff like that too. You don't have to make it this huge thing.
Yeah. So it's a work in progress, but it's something that like Lacey's the creative mind behind all of it, and I'm just kind of like I know people, like I'll talk to so and so. Yeah,
that's what you need. Somebody to be able to like talk. I mean, you could be a genius. What was it? Is like Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. You need someone who's a genius and knows the creative ideas. You need someone who could present those to not look like a crazy person to the investors.
Yeah.
So
that's literally us. Like we're all planning, and Lacey's like, "Here's 15 pages of all these ideas that are like." Here, and I'm like, Lacey, we got to work on one thing at a time. And she's like, I can't.
What do you mean by that?
I know.
She's great. That is. I feel like I ring a bell with that.
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you guys to be starting that. It'll be like a new journey too, and
yeah, it was cool. Like we, Tyler and I took a trip to Colorado to visit some friends. Came back and like I got a new job, a new position, I guess, with UPS. Different hours, which was super nice because the 4 a.m. thing was just a big suck fest. So I got a new position, and then a week later we had like put down on a house. That was a surprise. That was literally like Tyler and I were like, let's rent for another year, and then the next day we're like, let's actually put in an offer on this house.
Let's buy this one.
Yeah, we were like, let's do it, and then at the same time, Lacey and I were like, let's start this business. Like it just all was like, let's do it.
Life just hit like that.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And then, as it's coming, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? But it feels good.
Both scary and amazing.
Yeah. It feels good.
Once it all levels out and things get organized, it's going to feel great.
We're moved in now. So that's like, that's done. That's gone. That's not even an issue anymore.
Yeah.
And the business is like pretty much rolling and
you love the new house.
Yeah. And the coronavirus goes along.
We have to wait. That's why we're waiting.
Right. This is like the whole world's on pause right now. Do you feel like you, I don't know, like a few years ago, if all this stuff came at you, would you feel as ready for it? Like, do you feel like you've been going through changes, like improvements?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I never saw myself, which like I think you guys probably both know this, but like I always thought I was going to do service work, social services. That was where I was going. I want to be the person who changes the world. And then I totally switched gears a year ago, finished my master's degree in business. Like that was super, super outside of what I ever thought I could do or wanted to do. And it's just things are just, I realize I'm presented with an opportunity and I can either take it because it's something that I'm like, that's a challenge and I can do that. But I don't think that a year or 2 years ago, I would have ever thought like, hey, there's a challenge in front of me. I'm going to learn that. Like this is kind of off topic, but not. I just applied and interviewed for a position that's a full-time position at UPS. And they're like, hey, what do you know about Excel? And I'm like,
don't excel at that.
Like I know what I knew in college. You know, I had to take it, I had to learn it, I had to do it, and then I forgot it. But I straight up was like, I'll learn it. Like if this is a position that's gonna advance me where I want to go,
gives.
like that's what I said. I literally said I'll watch YouTube for like an hour if you want me to. But I never would have said that. And honestly, my genuine self is like, you don't want to watch YouTube. You don't want to learn Excel. But like in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you do. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to learn something new? So I think I'm like telling myself you could do that rather than like straying away from it. Where
like
I
the encouraging voice is a little louder, you know?
Yeah, it's a little more excited about. Excited? Maybe that's not the right word.
You're doing big, great things.
Yeah, things are.
He's like, yes, I am.
No, I'm kidding. But
do you guys feel so a lot of the stuff that I watch on YouTube, a lot of spiritual, a lot of woo-woo, a lot of crazy, a lot about Mother Earth, a lot about nature. So right now there's like constantly talking about like the feminine energy, the feminine energy in the world. It seems weird, right? But I feel like the more stuff that I hear and the more that you see, like the last few years, of course we see it through our lenses, but I feel like there's more and more people stepping into their real selves, like starting to just like, oh yeah, I do want this thing better for myself, you know. And like it's not like all of a sudden we like are magically millionaires or something like that, but I don't know, I think I still don't like fully know all like the feminine energy, masculine energy stuff, like how to like properly explain it. It's a little over my head still, but I don't know. Do you guys notice any like your friends as well as yourselves? Because you both, like, we were just talking about like going through changes, like feeling better. Did you guys notice any other people in your lives, any other like women standing up and like feeling more empowered, changing?
this is a really hard area for me.
Is it? I'm not trying to get political at all, by the way. Like, I don't, it's not like a news thing at all. Like, I'm
I didn't take it that way at all.
No, I think I'm really, and I don't know if this is like for you, but I think I've always been pretty like strong female.
Yeah.
I've always had that kind of like, I already know what I need, what I want, what I have. I can change and I'm totally okay with that. But I feel like throwing the like feminism and feminist and those terms gets me riled. And I don't know why. I don't know why it is, but something about it gets me like agitated. Yeah, those terms and that like.
Oh, right. Yeah. So that's the annoying thing about the media. So when I'm talking about feminine energy, so if I had never watched the news in my entire life, I could be saying exactly the question that I just asked you. Like if you go through like Buddhist texts and like these things, they talk about feminine and masculine energy. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to like explain it as well before asking the question, but it sucks because like the news media makes you feel like you need to like, that's crazy. Like that like it makes me bummed out actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're asking if any other women in our lives have become more empowered? Is that what you're asking? Or just the differences of it evolving, like more women empowerment throughout the years, or just differences between the two?
I guess my like corner of YouTube has been talking about like the last like couple years. Like of course there's on the media and stuff, there's like the feminist stuff, and that's not what I'm talking about. Okay. But just like say like a 35-year-old woman who has been living like in a victim mentality and she's like not doing good. She like finally like leaves her abusive husband or something like that. Like she finally feels like all of a sudden like more spiritually inclined to like take care of herself.
Okay.
I should be able to explain feminine energy better, but
no, I'm getting, okay, so that story kind of helped me. I'm getting gist of what you're saying.
And you could also say no. I
totally believe that. I think with a lot of my relationships, myself even, and people that I know over, it's weird that it's only been the last couple years, but if you look back to 10 years ago, I felt like maybe it didn't happen as much, so I feel like that is correct. Right. I feel myself, I've really grown into a person where before I felt like I let people walk all over me a little bit, or I would make excuses for people treating me certain ways, and throughout the last couple of years I have been like, no, I need to do what's better for myself, like what's good for me and not what makes them more comfortable. And so is that what you're saying?
Totally what I was saying.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, am I just going on a rant?
No, I mean, you helped me explain it. Like I said, I stumbled over myself.
So no, I've definitely noticed that within the last couple of years, but it shouldn't just be the last couple of years. I mean, I feel like I should have owned up to these things and realized these things years ago. So.
Right.
I think it has a lot to do with like our aging, though. The process of like becoming like we're nearing 30 rather than 20. And I think a lot of the things that we're like seeing repetition in negative things, and we're able to recognize those now, which is like a pattern that, you know, you remember to brush your teeth as a child. You know what I mean? So now as we get older, we start recognizing patterns that are negative for us, and then we positively are trying to surround ourselves. So you're just like learning. Part of it is just instinct.
I completely agree with that. I feel like it's all through maturing. Like definitely each year you're growing and becoming more yourself and a better person. Well, hopefully we're all becoming better people.
Well, and the availability of like resources and knowledge and information has drastically helped us. Because like, you're right, like 10 years ago, probably even though someone was turning 28, 29, 30, they may not have been seeing things the way we're seeing them or as early.
Yes.
Like I feel like a lot of women were realizing things like in their 50s after they'd been divorced or their kids were grown and gone. Yeah. And we're not even married, we're not even there yet, and we know what we expect, what we deserve. And but same thing for men. Like I think it's the same thing for men where you're like, okay, I can see that if I love this woman genuinely and I put the effort into it, you know, or myself, like men loving themselves is far more common now than it ever was.
Yes, I believe that.
Even saying men loving themselves would be like a weird sentence. Yeah. Like not that long ago.
Yeah.
I feel like more men are able to. And obviously what I see through like the community I surround myself with is I see like a lot more men in touch with their emotions, in touch with vulnerability, in touch with like their own fears, their own inadequacies, like so those sides of us are like, those are like the feminine sides of men. Like men have an equally feminine side, you know, just, you know, women have a masculine side of them as well. So
Jake looks right at me. They have a masculine side.
Well, no, I feel like I'm like,
hey, I'm really tomboy.
Yeah, right.
Not mad. I'm not even mad he said that. His natural eyes were just like.
No, but I think it's great. I mean, I feel like men should be in touch with themselves and what they're feeling. They should be able to they should be able to be open about these things. And it kind of saddens me that that's not normal, because it should be normal for both female and male to be open with emotions and raw and vulnerable. And it sucks that just like recently now, you know, over these years that people are starting to open up with it more. Mm-hmm. It makes me sad that before people felt like they couldn't.
Right. Yeah, it's like, as like the counselor homie of my friend group, like a wide range of people, like for many years I get like, not doing so good, man, like those sort of texts, like really low. And like these guys, like you can't get that far with them a lot of the times, you know. Like I've always been a pretty emotional dude. I grew up with 3 older sisters, you know. So I don't know. I feel like it feels like as a guy, a lot of the times you can't really get in touch with your emotions. Like you understand that they're there. You can be like, oh, I'm not doing so good. And then like when it comes to like, well, you got to look at them and you got to inspect them and you got to say like, hey man, what does that emotion mean? They're like, I'm not doing that. That's girl shit. Like, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they'll back up. And so I think just,
or it's a space of uncomfortability.
Right.
So that like incompetence in understanding your emotions leads you to like ignore it or avoid it or put it off or just, it'll go away because I'm a man and that's how we deal with shit.
Right. Yeah. You're like
false.
False. Absolutely.
Well, I feel the problem is going to keep persisting unless you dissect it and figure out the root of the issue and what's going on. And it does suck that a lot of men and women too, it's not just men, but a lot of people will be like, nope, like, I don't want to face what's going on, so I'm just going to put on a brave face. But it's all about figuring out what's wrong, because once you do figure that out, it might hurt, but you're going to grow from it and you'll be able to face things better, I feel like, in the future.
Right.
I think the same to say for women. I know that because like I was saying, I've always been a very strong female. I know that sometimes I don't have enough humility or ability to humble myself and say like, wow, I feel pretty unaware of how to do that. For a long time. And I would say the last few years, I've been really good about like, just saying like, I don't know how to do that. But I feel like women have had a long stretch of like, we've been like driving ourselves to be this confident, and this is, I think, partially just social media.
Yes.
The kind of like the bid war. Are you this or are you this or are you this? Like, I'm not sweet and sultry, and I'm not going to post daisies and flowers on but kind of want to because they're cute.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm like, shit, I want to post like I'm all dressed out in black and I feel, I have like 15 different personas I want to be, but I never will. I shouldn't say I never will. I used to never like humble myself enough to say like, I don't actually know how to be soft and sweet. I don't actually know how to, like, I used to not know how to flirt weird enough. And I'm like funny as hell, but I'm like, I used to know how to flirt. But like, at the time, I wouldn't humble myself enough to say it. So I think it's the same for women where you like, maybe I have the man's mindset. Like you grew up with sisters. I grew up with all men.
Right.
So maybe I grew up in that, like, don't let other people see your insecurities or your whatever. But like a lot of females now, I feel like don't want others to see their insecurities until recently. I suppose recently there's been a shift. But
I feel, growing up, like you were just saying, if I didn't know something, or I'd be embarrassed almost. I'd be like, oh, I'm supposed to know this or something.
You didn't want to ask the question.
Yeah, like I didn't want to ask questions, or like, okay, I need to go home and like look that up and like learn that really quick or something.
Go research it immediately.
But now I'm like, I'm human. I'm not going to know. I'm not going to know like everything that all my friends know. So I feel I'm more comfortable now to be like, hey, like, what is that?
What?
Yeah, like I'm more comfortable with being embarrassing, I guess.
You are who
well, that's been my whole life, actually.
Let's just be honest.
But
well, speaking of your whole life, Mackenzie, we did want to loop back around to that bridge story.
I did.
Okay.
Let's get there.
It is okay. Wait,
let's just
before we go,
say-
this was an actual injury. Like this was a
Yes.
thing. I do see that this is an actual injury. It's silly. Like
It is an
obviously not
actual
talking about it.
injury.
Like,
He's like,
I just want to say, like, as I'm making fun of it, please also
discredit
know
this.
that I care about you.
Well, it's
Like, I
like
don't
when-
want you to be hurt.
when I tell like the injury aspect of it, it's like the surgery and stuff. It's even hard to believe, like me saying it. I'm like, this shit doesn't happen to people. And then I'm like, nope, of course it happened to me. Like, okay, so where do I start? Okay, so it was a summer day, and
Take us back,
the
girl.
weather was nice, and
To
the
people who don't have bridges to jump off in their
and the
hometowns,
wind was
Right.
blowing. Okay, no, it was the summer before my senior year, and we weren't drinking. Like, I know it's hard to believe.
She speaks up. And by the way,
yeah, we were all sober while I made this horrible decision.
give us like a background though. Like, what is it about our town and our area? Like, this is very common thing
yes,
to do.
this chair
jump
is
off
very
bridges.
good.
I told you. There's a latch on the side.
Well, I feel like our hometown doesn't have. Sorry.
Dude, the chair's
The
demeaning.
chair that I'm sitting in just fell to
It did go down super far. I didn't realize
and then he just had to lower my mic.
It's an ideal setup for a two-person podcast, but for three, I'm just leaving you hanging. I'm sorry, Mac.
I was
So far she had
talking
slipped.
and it was literally just going down each sentence I said.
Wow.
Okay, yes, background. Our hometown doesn't have a lot of activities to do when you're younger, I feel like.
We weren't
Sorry, we're
at the time.
drinking. We're drinking right now. Yeah, we weren't drinking then. We're drinking now. So one of the things we would do is jump off this bridge, and it was pretty normal. I feel like.
In the summers, absolutely.
I feel like you heard story. Oh yeah, we went to Klamath River. We jumped off the bridge. Maybe that was just my friend group.
No,
I
really, like,
definitely- yeah.
it's interesting to think of, like, if there's people from Florida, they're probably like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
But, like, we
like,
jump off of
idiots.
cliff sides, we jump off of, like,
all these things into these really cool rivers and lake areas.
Yeah.
Like when I was hanging out with this awful human, he used to say, we did gainers off the Tootle like bridge. And
This awful human. Sorry.
But like, I remember thinking like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah.
No, not one part of my brain was like,
yeah.
oh,
It
that's
was
unusual.
totally, we'd have a group text and, okay, let's meet up here, and we'd go swimming.
yeah.
That summer, I was with a group of 10 people, and we were up the river more, and we were cliff jumping, and I jumped off the cliffs. Everything was fine. And so then we go down the river, and we stop at the bridge, and everyone's jumping off of it. And I remember I wasn't going to do it. This is where peer pressure comes in. I would never do it now if I didn't want to, but I
You'd be
felt
like, absolutely not.
yeah, that was in high school. Everyone else was doing it. That sounds so stupid saying it now.
It's real though for that time frame.
Yeah,
that age.
when I was
Absolutely.
that young, everyone's like, just do it, Mac. And I was really hesitant at first. And then everyone kept jumping off of it multiple times. And in my head, I'm like, well, I'm just being a baby. Like, no one is getting hurt.
Everyone's
like,
fine,
everyone's
yeah.
fine. Jake, he's just laughing. And so, yeah, I did it. And it's 70 feet, I believe, the bridge. It's really, really tall.
I've never done it.
And I jumped off, and I was in a pencil dive because everyone's like, make sure that your feet are crossed. So I was like, okay. And then I jumped off, and I remember the fall being so long that you have time to like think out thought processes.
Oh,
like
no.
that's how long it is. So I remember falling, and I was like, damn, like when am I gonna hit? Like you have time to think about it. And when
How's this gonna feel?
when I hit the water, my body had curled up into a cannonball by that point, and my ass just hit first. And God, this is why I'm single.
I don't think that's the reason. I don't think it's a first date question.
Some guys who love a good cannonball.
My girl can cannonball the shit out of that.
So yeah, I hit the water, and I instantly knew something was wrong before I even came up. And so I like reached the surface, and I couldn't swim. And so like I was in pain. Like, yeah, don't laugh now.
You were probably in shock.
I was in a lot of pain, and I knew something was wrong. And Stephen Menke was there, and I was kind of yelling like, help, like I need someone to swim me to shore. And I remember, I think it was him. He jumped off. When he jumped off, he was fine. And then he like swam to me, and I remember we had to climb up this hillside, and I was like, something's wrong. Like I need to go home now. And my ass was bleeding, and God, this is embarrassing. Okay, so then I went home and called the doctor, and they said, this is completely normal. You just tore your rectum. And they said it was common, not normal.
What was your what
Normal
in your
happens.
brain?
They
What
said
was
it was
going through
common.
your brain at this point?
I think I was in shock. Like I just remember hurting. I was hurt, and I didn't really quite know what was going on.
Yeah.
And then I remember telling my dad, and he did not feel sorry for me because he was like, if your fucking friends jump off a bridge with you, and he's like, it's a saying, Mackenzie, and
He's been
you're
waiting
that
for this
person.
moment.
Yeah, he's like, you're that dumbass
Your
that
dad's just
did
bringing
it.
you down.
So I'm like in all this pain, and my dad is just like, you're so fucking stupid. And I was like, well, now I look back, I'm like, well, yeah, he had a
Dude,
point.
as a
Yeah.
parent though, you've got to be like, what is happening? What have I done?
Well, he's like,
You're like questioning
That was a
everything you ever
bridge, and you
taught
jumped
them.
off it.
yeah, and he's like, what? You've been hanging out with your friends, and you guys just all decided to jump off bridges? Like, as a parent, yeah, they're probably like, well, anyway, so I didn't have surgery then, but years later, when I was living in Bellingham, my tailbone just turned black and blue, like all the way up my spine, and I was having a hard time sleeping on my back, and like right where like my butt crack starts, it started hurting so bad. So I went to the hospital, and they did an ultrasound on my ass, and
That's
I know, an ultrasound out of all things, and up my spine. And of course they didn't know the bridge story, and they came in and they're like, you have had severe trauma to your tailbone. Can you name a time, like what happened to you? Like
You're immediately
yeah,
caught,
they
like,
said
yeah.
that it was complete, like to this day my tailbone's still cracked, like it never broke, it's still fractured. And they're like, what could have done, like, Nate, what could have done this? And I was just sitting there like, God. Yeah, and they're like, tell us. And so I told them, and they kind of laughed, but they also on the ultrasound found a cyst had built up inside of me, and it was from the water in the river that shot up me into my body. It stayed in my system, and all the bacteria in the river created a cyst.
What?
And so I had to have surgery on that and get it taken out.
I feel like I don't remember that part. That's so wild.
And yeah, and it was years later, which was the weird thing. Like it was like over the years, like, yeah, all that bacteria had stayed, which is so gross, had stayed in my body and built that. But I mean, it's funny to laugh about now, but it was traumatic. But when I came back to school, I was really pissed off because it was my senior year. It's how everyone's going to remember you. And I was like, okay, like only a couple of people know, like it's fine. And so I remember, you know how you used to have to, before school started, you'd have to come in and sign up for classes. No. Okay. Well, at Kelso before, I'd have to like go in the week before school or something.
And you meet with your advisor.
You have to you got your schedule before school even started. Well, I went in there and there were a couple guys in there and they just started laughing right when I walked in, and I was like, they're not laughing at me, whatever. And then they're like, hey, Mac, like we heard about your ass in the bridge. And I just remember I was like, oh my God, like school hasn't even started yet. And when I came back my senior year, that's how everyone knew me, and everyone wrote to me in my yearbook and like called me Mac Torn and said, "Oh,
that's where Mac Torn comes from."
And they were like, "I'll miss your ruptured butthole," and it was just all about the bridge, and I was so embarrassed. But as the years have gone by, it's funny because people bring it up and I'll laugh about it.
It's just the dumb shit you did when
it's like young. That story, it's like if someone told me that, I'd be like, yeah, right, that didn't happen. Like that's dumb. That wouldn't happen to someone. And then it's like, nope, me.
Actually.
It's funny that like if it was another part of your body, like if you broke your arm, they wouldn't be like, you broke your arm, like just because it was your butt. We think it's like,
because we're six.
As high schoolers, we think like, well, let's make fun of her.
Yeah.
Bums.
Okay, but like how old are we now and we're still laughing about it?
Dang it.
I know, like but people bring it up. Yeah, I like saw someone last year from high school, and I think they were like, wait, you're that girl that tore her ass. And I'm like, cool.
Could you
years later, it's still there.
Like there's other things about me.
Imagine social media at that point.
Oh my.
Like you should be thankful that there was a very mild amount of social
where were we at with
media.
social media then? That was probably, was Facebook even yet? I feel like I didn't get mine until 2011.
It had just started because right when we graduated, towards the end, people were getting Facebook, and I got one right when we graduated high school. But we had MySpace.
We had MySpace for sure.
We did, but I don't feel like I used MySpace as much. I used it more when I was like a freshman and a sophomore.
Me too.
And then like I had it kind of like how I have a Facebook now, but I don't really use it. It's the same. It was like the same. And then Facebook came along literally like right when we were graduating.
And honestly, my senior year, I feel like I didn't use MySpace that much.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
I was still laying on train tracks with my half black, half red hair, looking upwardly at the camera with eyeliner on. Dude, I had tried to find him a while back ago. I tried to like search my old MySpace profile. I feel like I had cool pictures.
You did. Like, no, you were cool. Like I wanted to be your friend.
I feel like if I just got
either of you then.
Yeah.
I loved going, like me and Gunnar and like Taylor and stuff. We would go out into the woods. We'd go out to the train tracks. We'd go like find abandoned buildings when we were like 16, 15.
Take like artistic pictures.
Yeah, like I remember I bought this. You know what? Maybe Gunnar and I split it, and he wore one glove and I wore the other. But like a fingerless skeleton glove, and like you would take the photo of like your hand where you can kind of see like the glove in the photo. This is hilarious, but like back then I feel like it was like we're still just like we're teenagers who just discovered the internet. Like the internet was so cool, and just anything you did and posted on the internet was cool. And just like cameras really too. Like think about like
actual cameras, not even your phone cameras.
Yeah.
There was no like the Razr camera. Do you remember the Razr phone cameras?
Yes.
They were shit. They were so
bad.
But
we thought they were really good.
Back then,
I feel like I took a lot more pictures with like a legitimate digital camera.
Oh yeah, those were.
I had the digital. I had a red one.
Yeah, I didn't have any of those. Brittany Jennings did, and she was like the queen of pictures.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, isn't that? I don't know. That's weird. I was like good friends with Britt for a pretty long time. And then like, I never knew you guys. I never knew anything about it because I was like anti-Kelso.
I was friends with Brittany too. And then you mentioned Taylor. Yeah. The people that we grew up with.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
For those of you who don't know, those are 2 people that passed away.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Cheers to them.
Yes.
Um,
We all have drinks.
yeah, let's not touch glass because you guys have coronavirus.
Stays on plastic for 3 days. So
It is interesting to think of. I love like explaining about and just like thinking about our town area because like yes, we're a small town like Kelso Longview. Like Castle Rock's definitely a small town, I'd say, but like Kelso Longview is like the mega part of a bunch of small towns. Like it's like when you go into town and you live in Castle Rock, you go to Longview, right?
yeah. Hey, I'm gonna head into town. You need anything?
Yeah, like it like Longview Kelso is kind of a mega town, but like I talk about a lot like my like you know like kind of foolish lens on life in high school. Like I would affiliate the whole town of Castle Rock where I live now
With hillbillies.
with hillbillies. Yeah, like old country. And it was just because the way that I saw the world was like rednecks beat me up and I know they live in Castle Rock, so I like was afraid of. I was like didn't like them. And it's so weird how like dense our fucking view of an entire place or the world or wherever it could be, and we're like, this is true.
I viewed Kelso as you guys had a daycare in your school, so you were all sluts.
No, but we really did have a daycare.
yeah.
I know, and honestly, like me now is like, hell yeah, more power to those girls who made some pretty crappy decisions with those guys who made pretty crappy decisions, and
Right.
they had kids a little too early, but like you're still going to school.
Yeah.
But me then was like, wow, you little slut,
Right.
Nope, yeah.
because of my little virgin ass.
Yeah.
It's definitely all about maturing. Oh gosh, our thought processes when we were in high school, man. I don't even want to.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was going to be married and have kids and live in the town of Castle Rock at age 23. Like I was like, I'm going to have kids and this is my perfect life. And like, I genuinely believed that because I didn't know anything else. Like I didn't know anything
23 was my age too. That's funny. I was like, when I'm 23, I'm gonna be married. I'm gonna have my first kid because I don't want to be an older mom. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna be a young mom. I'm like, I'm not. I don't even have a boyfriend now. I'm like, yeah.
Like I remember myself at 23 and like I was pretty drunk in Arizona a lot.
Yeah. I
was just living in Arizona, barely paying rent, barely doing a whole lot of anything. And I'm like,
yeah.
how could I have forced a child out and then raised it to not be like a complete
Drunk.
lunatic?
Yeah.
Just also drunk. Yeah. Like
my baby's
this
drunk.
podcast is making me sound like a real alcoholic. Like
Yeah.
it's my first glass of wine in a while.
Well, and it's weird that what I was more concerned with was being an older mom. Like that when I was
Really?
younger, I was like, I don't want to look old when I have kids. Like I want to go to like their graduation and look good. That was my thought process back then.
But more
Instead
than
of being
bring
like
a child into the world. Like, that's his
literally
life
more
and
than
stuff,
like
but
how can I raise this kid
Right.
at 23?
I'm gonna have nice hair and nice nails at the graduation.
we all think like that though in weird ways, you know.
Yeah.
Like we forget what's important sometimes. Like I don't want to do. I don't want to get to there until I have this figured out. Or something.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I think about it now and I think like even age 30 seems like, ooh, I'm trying to have a kid in a couple years. Like, am I?
Yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
Shayla and I've been talking about it, and it's like we'll have conversations. Like she was just sitting here before this, and she's like a fucking kid. And she just like,
thank God we don't have kids right now.
But then like last week we're like daydreaming, like trying to figure out where we want to be with it and what the future is around that. Like it's so funny.
we were our kids go to school.
Yeah.
Tyler and I do that all the time, and then we're like, we can't have a third dog. Like we go from
you
like,
can.
no, we can't. Don't.
I believe in you.
This is
You have room for the dog now.
No, we don't have room for the dog. We just got a king size bed for the first time, and we've been dating almost 3 years, and we've had dogs the whole time. And Graham and Thatcher Tyler and I are still sleeping on the outsides of the bed. Like here's
You'll
my
need to
little
put
space.
your paw down.
Listen,
Just tell him
have
no.
you seen how cute those dogs are? Though, you know,
Dad joke.
Yeah, pretty cute though.
dogs are cute. So, it's like, how do you say no? You know.
We're thinking about getting a dog. Well, we're still thinking about getting a dog. It's definitely going to happen. I'm very excited. A golden doodle. I feel like I want to be in my head. I'm going to be the most like savage
dad
dog
ever.
that dude. Like I'm just like stroking my ego and it hasn't even happened yet. I'm just like going to be the coolest dog.
You're like
dad
thinking about
ever.
getting all the toys and taking him running all the time.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm gonna like train him and like learn like German commands, so he's just like the smartest golden
Ooh,
doodle
yeah.
ever too. I don't know, maybe I won't, but Sounds fun.
Oh.
You have to teach him American, though.
Oh.
American English.
Teach him
American.
Teach him how to live in America.
Teach him how to shoot a rifle.
Teach him who to fucking vote for.
Holy shit.
Is this how other people hear us normally?
I don't know. No, you have to teach him English, though.
Teach
so,
him
like, people
American.
At your little, like when you're having a function in the backyard, someone will be like, sit, or lay down, and your dog's like, I don't listen to that. I listen to plats,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're
you
right.
gotta have
Okay, I
that.
feel that.
Yeah.
Like only commands. And I feel like dog names, I want to strong arm Shaylee with that really bad. I just want to be the one who names the dog.
Okay, so do you have any names in
I
mind?
have a huge list in my phone that adds to a lot.
Well, boy or girl is very dependent also.
We're going to go for boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Male dogs are just... Yeah. I'm biased.
I just feel like what if you accidentally call your girl dog good boy, She's gonna be like, what the fuck? Do you even
It's
know
the
me?
goodest boy, and they're like, I'm a fucking girl.
Girl. Yeah, I have a lot of names picked out. I like weird names though. Like I don't like Spot and
Max.
Duke. Like I don't know. I just like typical dog names. Like when I had a hedgehog, the amount of people that were like, "Is his name Hedgehog or is his name Sonic?" I'm like, "I don't know me."
Yeah, that's pretty traditional.
I don't know why.
forgot about
That's the
your
most like
hedgehog.
stuck up thing to like even care about. But I don't know. I've been thinking about a lot of names though.
I just watched a movie and this dog's name was Meatball, and I really appreciated it because it was a big burner. Like it was a Bernese Mountain Dog, and it was just Meatball.
Think about having to, like you're at the park and after you yell that. Meatball! Meatball!
Meatball, go potty.
Mackenzie, do you think you're ever gonna have an animal?
I don't know with my job. Well, so one day in the far future when I get married, if he's home enough, then yes, I would like a dog. I wouldn't want a cat, and I wouldn't want more than one dog. Like if I'm gonna have a pet, I feel like I'd have one.
Just a bit of advice though: 2 dogs play with each other. Leave you alone.
Come on, Jess.
I'm saying,
Hey, I'm gone half the
Or
week.
one
so.
gets more aggressive than the other one does exactly what he does.
Yeah,
More aggressive about attention to you.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's just dependent.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. I'm gone a lot with my job, so I feel like another person would definitely have to be there
Yeah,
to help take care.
but you do like dogs.
I do like dogs.
You could just get one now, and you could have Gabby and Danielle take care of.
Yeah, but they work night shift too, so they're not there half the time.
Well, they should take a little time off work.
You could do puppy daycare too. Like I know a lot of people who have pretty like long days and they take their dogs to puppy daycare. It's expensive.
I was gonna say that sounds like money.
It is. We don't do puppy daycare.
That
I'm
sounds
like, babe, you gonna be
expensive.
home or who's gonna let them out?
There's a puppy daycare. It's like I think they're an exit up, but Grandis, who is the Great Dane dog next door here, he goes like a couple times a week onto this like short bus that they painted like with dogs and stuff.
What?
Comes and picks them up, and they literally pick up dogs like the school bus
Stop.
and take them to like daycare for the day, and then they drop them off later. And dude, it's like the most delightful thing to see pull up next door. You're like, oh, he's going to daycare.
You get a cup of coffee and wait by the window every
Oh,
day
man,
over the
yeah.
I
bus.
have like legitimate tears.
Dude,
How
it's
cute
so
that
cute.
is.
And his name is Grandis, and he's just like this big giant Great Dane. Of course, he needs like anything he does is cute, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I have
this is a real
legitimate
thing
tears.
that-
I'm so
Yo,
So Jess
Jessica,
is crying.
After the mobile bar, after it's going for years, you can have
mobile
them
dogs.
mobile dogs. You
That
don't
would be
ever even take
perfect
them
for
to a
you.
location. You just drive them around.
Oh my god, you're the goodest boys going
We
for
crack the
rides.
windows.
Wow, I love that. Is just like the most beautiful picture that you just painted me. Thank you.
Like, imagine if you're in traffic and that pulls up next to you.
I would have to turn my car off because I would not be okay to drive. Oh my gosh.
What is it about dogs?
don't know.
Where did I kind of wondered that'd be a cool thing to learn, like the origin of dogs and cats. Like when did we start and why did we
Domesticating
start?
them.
Like was
Yeah.
it just like was it like there was some wolves that were like more chill and we're like, does that
You wanna live
Do
together?
you want to? And then you're like asking your friends, do you have a feeling inside of you that we should put our hand on that? You know, like the first
We should
humans to like
pet it.
pet a dog. They'd be like, usually they're afraid of like wolves and shit. But I don't
Should
really know
look
how
that
it
up.
happened. Did we like breed a bunch of like new breeds of dogs? Because they look way different now.
I have no idea.
I always imagine that like it was like a slow evolution of just like, you know how you can be in the same space as somebody and you're like, you're chill, but we don't have to talk. I like you from over there, or like we've agreed to disagree, or we've agreed to just share the space without like any speaking. That's how I feel like you are with a dog. And then it slowly evolved to like they just take over your whole fucking space.
Your whole bed.
But like I feel like, you know, whatever kind of evolution you believe in, it started with like they were kind of the, like how animals in the traditional ecosystem decide if they're either enemies or they're okay with living in the same, you know, in the savannah is a good example, because there's a lot of animals who live together fine, and then there's, you know, these asshole lions come in or whatever. Like I imagine that that's how dogs and humans and cats and humans kind of just evolved, as like, we're chill if you just like let us lick ourselves here on this place.
For some reason, cats, I feel like cats don't belong in that. I feel like I could see that for dogs, but cats, I just feel like they're up to something. Like they're like still trying to trick us.
Cats are.
I was gonna ask. I was like, what do you think it is? Like everyone loves dogs, and then there's like there's a percentage that love cats. I'm not gonna say that.
People really love cats.
Yeah,
cats are mysteries though.
But I feel like dogs are favored more, and it's because you think that cats are creepy, or they're up to something.
I think dogs are more submissive, and so I think that's why we, as humans, are like, we're superior to you.
Yeah,
a
you're probably
bit.
totally right.
Because I know when I come home, I get this weird little pride of like, my dog has chewed on something he shouldn't, and he's hiding in the corner, and I don't beat my dog, but like he knows he did wrong, and he knows I'm in charge.
Yeah.
So he knows when I walk in the door, and I get that little like, you know
what you did.
But like you come in and your cat's fucked up your house, and you're like, the cat's just like,
he's just licking his asshole.
I don't care about you.
Yeah. He's like, I'll do it again tomorrow. Like literally, even
I'll do it again right now. I'll take a shit on your carpet. I don't care.
He's like, I'm shitting as I'm looking at you right now.
In the eyes.
It's weird though. Like not every cat is like that. But
no, but I feel like more often you get a lot of that is the cat, like the cat, I don't know, world. You have to just be okay with like never knowing, or never like you can't be like, hey, come here, Spot, let's go potty. The cat's
they
like,
don't do it. They're like,
they'll look at you
I don't
like,
feel like doing that.
Yeah. They just don't listen as well. I think I like personally the submissiveness without, I mean, that's a lot for me to say there just now.
No,
that is really probably true though. That's probably a lot of us.
Yeah.
That's why we like animals.
Well, I don't even know why, but I like dogs better. Like I just like them better.
I can tell you why.
They're more lovey and like and personable, I think, too, than cats. Cats are very like standoffish, and even if they're a lovey cat, they still are like, I'll have my space for 14 hours and I'll touch you for 30 minutes. Dogs are like, can I be here all the time?
Oh, yeah.
You know, Mackenzie.
Sorry. I just thought, because we just got a new dog at my dad's, and when you're saying that, I was like thinking that in my head, like picturing our new dog. So
loving them.
Yeah.
Did you have animals growing up, like dogs and cats growing up?
Yeah, so the reason I'm not like super attached to animals, I wasn't, a lot of my friends and family would make jokes and say like, you hate animals. They'd always make fun of me, but it was because my parents got divorced when I was 2, and I felt like it was a competition between my mom and dad. So when I got a dog on one side, the other parent was like, oh no, I'm gonna get her a dog too. So I got 2 dogs, but they both died. And at my mom's.
How old were you when they died?
I was pretty young. I don't remember. I was like, one was in elementary, one was in middle school.
But it was tragic, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I grew really close to them. And then my neighbor actually shot my dog at my mom's side because my dog Riley loved porcupines. I don't fucking know why, but always like if it would hunt for a porcupine and attack it, and then it'd come back to the house with quills all the time. Well, it chased a porcupine in my neighbor's yard, and my neighbor shot it. And
he shot the dog?
Mm-hmm.
Did he mean to shoot the dog?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just an asshole. And so Riley was still alive, but it hit like a main artery, and he wasn't going to survive. So we had to basically just put him down. Right. But yeah, so growing up after my dogs died, I just decided not to get attached to animals because I think it just was traumatic for me growing up. I was so sad. I was at a young age. I feel like I would handle it better now. But I was like, nope, I don't want to be around it. Like, I would pet them, but I just wouldn't get very close with any animals. We got more dogs and stuff. I just kind of kept my distance because growing up, I was like, well, they're going to die at some point, so I don't want to get close.
It's crazy. We learned that from like such a young age. We're like, oh, this is what happens.
That's the truth, because I totally invested myself in those animals. And then, so I was like, nope, I'm not going to get close. And so it was like a joke in my family. Like, Mack hates animals. Like, don't come in here. Like, would say that, but I'm like, I don't hate animals. And they're like, well, you're just...
Don't come in here with that animal. Get that ferret out of the house.
They're like, you're just not very affectionate. I'm like, because I don't want to get close when I know they're going to die. And so now I feel like I'm more attached. Like, we just got a new puppy and I've been over there, and all my time is just, we fell asleep on the couch last night together, and it was like wrapped around my leg. Sweet. Yeah, it was so cute. So now I'm getting like more attached, but it's been years since I've been this way. So
yeah.
I honestly don't think that I loved dogs as much until I became friends with Shaylee.
Really?
Yeah, like I definitely I've always loved dogs. We've always had a dog, but we've had outdoor dogs, so I've never had the same relationship. And then I met Shaylee, and she was just like, dogs all the time. Like, she loved dogs. And then I slowly and then I got an indoor dog, and I had my own dog, and it was like life-changing. So, yeah.
Dude, it's actually crazy. I recently, so this was just probably a month ago, I actually was with Shayla, and I were talking to my mom, and I asked my mom if this was a real memory, because I thought I had like a traumatic memory about dogs, and I thought that it wasn't real. But I like confirmed it with my mom. When I was younger, like when my dad was doing drugs, I was messing with, we had a pit bull puppy. I was messing with him when he was sleeping, and he like woke up, because I'm a kid messing with him when he's asleep, and he bit me, and I guess it drew blood around my eye. Like, it didn't, not my actual eyeball, but just like the skin around. Yeah, and so he bit me, and obviously I'm sure I was crying, like I was younger. And my dad, like on drugs, he like reacted, and he grabbed the dog, and he took him to the woods and shot him. Yeah, like, and it was crazy, like talking about this with my mom, because I realized like, oh, like I like put my own fault in that, because as a kid through that lens, I'm like, oh my God,
shot, or I got it killed.
And it's crazy, like stuff like that, and it's like, I just emphasized what you were saying, because like we hold on to these things, like we put like almost like, oh, like I don't want to do that. I'm not going to bring that love to him, because I don't want it to be destroyed. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's crazy. But I think that like I love dogs now, and I have like progressively more and more the longer every day Shaylee and I are together,
Yeah.
Like
Shaylee is a dog lover. It's hard to not love a dog. She definitely is.
And now like I feel like and then we had Bentley here. We had Megan's dog here for quite a while, and like I love that dog so much. Like I feel like it's a hole that I didn't realize I had, but it's definitely been filled in for sure.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to like hear that story. And Mom's like, yeah, that happened. Like, oh,
it's so weird how we've like how we both like held on to stories like that,
right?
And like without really, even thinking about it. Yeah. And because I would never try not to pet dog. It wasn't an intentional thing. I was just like, nope, in my own space. And then finally, I came to the conclusion. I'm like,
you were like,
that's why. Like, I don't want to get close.
Subconsciously, like, unconsciously. Why do I do this every time? Subconscious. I've done this so many times where I say unconsciously, but like.
Well, a lot of it can kind of apply. Like
I was awake.
Conscious is consciously, consciousness, all of that is like such a broad used word.
Yeah.
Like it's, I read this book, I think it's Conscious or Consciousness, I can't even remember now, by Annika Harris. But it's like.
Anna Faris?
Annika Harris.
Oh, I was like, damn, Anna Faris.
Right about
oh my God, I'm reading that book.
So can I borrow that?
Yeah. I got excited.
I probably just wanted to tell you guys that I read that book. That's probably what that was. I don't even know what I was trying to get with that.
Is it a good book?
I read books. I'm smart.
I don't read them books. I'm from Casrick, but I read them books.
I read them books. Do you read?
So much.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's a recent book that you read?
Actually, I have 2 books that are in my like... Oh, I've been reading Harry Potters, though. I decided to reread Harry Potters.
Did you not read them? Oh, you did?
No, I did, yeah. Actually, I stopped reading, I think the 5th book, maybe, and then I never actually read the other ones. So I'm starting from the beginning. I will watch those movies on repeat. I have a problem. We don't own those anymore, but like I know what they are like exactly. I know number 4 is my absolute favorite.
Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire is my absolute favorite.
I think that was like my favorite book.
That's where
Prisoner of Azkaban was my.
See, and I don't know because I don't remember the books as well because I read them I was always like in first grade, I was reading like fourth grade level. I've always loved to read. Yeah. And so I've always read above, but I used to read for my AR points. I never read for pleasure because I was fast at reading.
That was me too.
So I read to take the test to excel at school, but I never read as like a pleasure thing. So now I do it in like recreation, but I have 2 books that my girlfriends, my Napa Vine, Arizona friends, they all like pass around books. And so I guess we all do.
Aww.
So now we're, yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's like, it can be like really girly books, or like there's a book called Educated by, I think it's Tara Westover. I think that's her name. I'm like picturing that.
I've heard that book's so good.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I have like,
I've heard
in my
really
little arsenal
things.
of books to read now.
Do you know what it's about enough to like describe?
I don't really. I know. I think it's about like her like growing up. I'm pretty sure it's just kind of like a memoir.
It's about, I don't know exactly what it's about, but everyone says it's about her overcoming a lot of stuff. Like she was in a really bad place and then gets to this really amazing place. And the journey that she talks about is just really good. But I personally haven't read it either, but a lot of my friends have read it. And then I was in a bookstore in the airport just kind of browsing around, and this guy came up, this random guy was like, read this book. And that's what the book that was sitting there.
You're like,
and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. He's like, no, seriously, it will change your life. So
yeah,
dude, I always love following. I always say those are like intuitive moments. Like, okay, I have to fucking read that book. Like, I don't know who that guy is, but
yeah, why would you tell me to read that book if you didn't?
He's a
know
shaman.
Me? Yeah,
let's assume he's an airport shaman.
He's been sent to airport shaman. Airport shaman. Honestly, you meet some cool ass people in the airport.
And some not cool people.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yours is different.
I meet a lot of, I'm just kidding.
Yours is probably different.
We're there periodically enough to meet cool people, and she's like, I meet all of them.
No, there are a lot of great people through the job, and then just people on the plane. Some people are really nice, and you'll strike up a conversation. There's a lot of, like I said, not the best on the plane as well, but no.
I feel like I've had really good experiences. Like, as much as I despise a layover, I've had so many of them that I've gotten, like I've been able to like go sit at the bar and talk to somebody that I'm like, I otherwise would never have been like, hey, want to chat?
Yeah.
Like get me on my plane, get me home. But I feel like I've been put in positions where I've had to like just hang out and chat and not like deal with it. At the time, I'm like, damn, I'll just deal with talking to this guy. But like now I look back and I'm like, oh, that was a pretty cool conversation. Like,
yeah, I've had stuff like that too, where I'm in the airport. It's always at a bar usually. Well, sometimes a bookstore, I guess. Right. But I'll be sitting there and you meet, especially New York, when I'd be there, you just meet people just came over from Europe and they're everywhere, or they're flying to New York to go overseas. You meet all types of people. So I've had some really good conversations at the bar.
Do you remember anything in particular? Like I met this fantastic guy or anything like that? Like,
not that. No, I didn't have a magical moment. No, actually, Jacob and Dimitri had just passed away, and I was having a really hard time dealing with it. And so, of course, I was at a bar in the airport, but I was drinking a beer, and I was sitting there, and there's a couple next to me, and they're from Ireland, and they just started talking to me, and they expressed to me that they had just came there for a funeral, and they were having the hardest time dealing with this death, and they had no idea like what I was going through. They opened up way before I did. And I remember sitting there, and we had this really good conversation and just about healing and things like that. And it was an older couple. They were probably in their 60s. But it was just a great conversation, and it was that reminder, like, I'm not the only one going through this. Because at a time, like at a time like that, you're so consumed in your head and you're so depressed and you don't know how to find a way out. And talking that, I felt, not that they were sent to me, but I feel like that was supposed to happen because it was just one of those moments where we talked for like an hour, and it just made me feel better even talking about it, because I probably would have sat there and just been like another one and not just drowning my feelings. But yeah, it was just a conversation about healing and things like that. And so that is one of the big moments that sticks out, meeting someone. Awesome. Yeah, and I've always remembered
get that with serving.
What was that? What?
Like where you like found people that you were just like, wow, that's so cool that they got to be my customers today. Like, I'm so glad I got to chat with them and got to know this about them. Like,
it depends on the flight. So if it's an hour flight and you have like 200 people to serve, I'm usually not talkative. I just ask all three people like, hey, what do you want? And give them snacks. But if it's a longer flight and someone's striking up a conversation with me, I feel it's hard. The boundaries are hard because on the plane, some people don't want to be talk to. You know, some people are in their seat. It's kind of hard to learn that, because if you try to talk to someone, they're like, I just want my drink, put their headphones back in.
Yeah.
And they're
or
like,
don't even take their headphones
don't
out.
talk to me. And then some people, I'm like, hey, do you want anything? And they won't take their headphones out. They look at me and they just shake their head, and like they won't acknowledge me, or like they'll just keep watching their movie. So it's hard to find that boundary of like, hey, should I strike up a conversation? Because there's been times where I'm like, oh, hi. I think I've tried to say something and it just goes nowhere. Like they're just like, I'm watching like James Bond, like leave me alone. or they're
fix that movie. This is recent.
James Bond.
hey, there's a lot of them.
Whenever someone's rude to her, she's like, you probably fucking watch James Bond.
Daniel Craig. Anyway, but no, I've had a lot of great conversations with people on the plane. And also going back to like people being sad, there's been people that are just bawling in their seat. And I'm like, hey, what's wrong? Whether it's I'm scared of flying, or there's a lot of like people travel to go to funerals. So I've dealt with that a lot.
Yeah.
And just like trying to help someone during that time. Like some people want to be left alone, but some people start to open up about it right away. And so even the littlest gesture, like, do you want a drink? Like, drink on me. Like, what do you want? And I'll grab them something, and they're like, thank you so much. So
just navigating that.
Yeah.
there's not a lot I can offer on the plane, but usually a drink.
Honestly, even some of it's just the contact of another human, someone who like looks you in the eye and cares that you're, you know.
Because you really don't know what people are going through, and I try to keep that, like, as annoying as people can be, believe me. Like, when someone's being rude to me, of course, your initial thing is, like, I'm annoyed. Like, why are they being rude? But then I have to think, maybe this person's, like, scared to death of flying. Granted, they shouldn't be being rude over it, but still, you know, there's different things.
It's a reaction, though, that people don't realize they're doing.
Yeah, that I try to just consider, like, maybe they're going through something. I used to take everything so personally when I first started.
Yeah, I feel like I would too. It'd be hard not to.
Being in New York, especially, people just look you up and down. They say rude comments, and I took everything to heart. But over the last 4 years, I'm like, I can't take it personally. Like, I didn't do anything to them. That's just them having a bad day. So I kind of just, I kind of just brush it off now. Yeah. But
I'm rubber, you're glue. Everything you say bounces off me and sticks back to you.
Don't edit that out.
So good.
I was like halfway through. I was like, "Am I remembering this correctly?" But I just kept it going.
No, you did it.
Yeah.
If I fuck this up,
write that on the wall.
Oh my god, I love it.
Jessica, have you had did anything pop up for you? Like you've worked with the public in tons of different ways. Like anything pop up for you where you like were just a little more human to someone and it like opened up, or they were like a little more human to you? And so you talked about like deep feelings with a stranger, just kind of connect with them, anything like that?
I mean, I can talk to literally anyone. I can talk
like
to a brick wall.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
I have a like almost obnoxious knack to just talk and say things.
I don't think that's true.
You're not obnoxious.
I think that you're good at seeing people's needs and like meeting them where they're at. Like you're a good conversationalist with being able to relate to many different types of people, so they feel more open with you. That's what I see.
I know myself, and I know I talk a lot, but I think for me, it works. I think it's a super, super high, like, not a lot of people can do that. So you're right. It is something that is like, it doesn't come natural to everyone. Tyler, for example, is a great example of like someone who cannot talk to everyone, or me even. He has struggles to talk to me. I definitely feel like as of lately, where I work is a very like, it's a fine line. It's and it's UPS for anyone who doesn't know that. And I'm a manager. So I am not a union member. And if you've ever worked in a union or against a union, because that's essentially how UPS is set up, I don't think it's intentional. I think it's essentially was supposed to like be a cohesive little unit. But it is really challenging to work with someone and say to them, I am instructing you to do this. It sounds absurd and so superior and so just like...
Because you both know it's just a farce, weird thing.
I can't do it. And I actually like... This is something I've had a struggle with because I'm the friend leader. If I'm going to be your supervisor or your manager, I'm going to do it on the same level as you. Yes, I can do your job, but I'll also help you do your job. And I'll help, you know, like... Yeah. I don't know. So I've had that's been actually been a challenge for me. But I've found myself being able to like... lately in the last just couple of years, maybe 3 to 4 years, I should say, reflect and like understand that this drunk person at the bar or this asshole driver, he had a really bad day. The person who loaded his truck sucked at it. So his whole day was just kind of backward and off, and his routine was messed up. And so he probably is coming in here and he's pissed that it's 7:30 at night and I'm telling him he has to go help somebody else. Right. You know, like, you just worked a 10 and a half, 11-hour day. And I'm also telling you, like, you're at the bottom of the food chain, buddy. So you got to go work another 2 hours. And then you got to come back tomorrow in 12 hours and do it again.
That's hard.
It is hard. And to be, so I've been able to just be your friend and say, like, hey, can you please just do this for me? And tomorrow I'll get you. Right. You know what I mean? So I think I've learned to, I think through the years, I've learned, like, I wouldn't want to do that. But I also know that I would go above and beyond for someone who I trusted or respected, or and vice versa. So if I know that my supervisor is she is gonna follow through tomorrow, and like I'm gonna work an 8-hour day instead of a 14-hour day, or she is gonna like let me vent and be drunk and be obnoxious, and then tomorrow when I come in I'm gonna apologize and she's gonna be like, no big deal.
Right.
You know, like, I think I've learned to be a little more human in the aspect of like give and take.
Yeah.
It's hard to be in a manager position like that, especially like having to manage people you become friends with.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, like, I'm your boss. Like, you have to do this, but I love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It is hard. And it is hard to, and even like substituting has been kind of a challenge for me, because I go in with this, like, I have to be an authority figure because that's how the school structure is designed. But then I also am like, these kids are like dying of insecurity.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, God,
right.
I don't want, like, these girls will talk to me and they'll be so bitchy to me in the middle of class because they don't want to be embarrassed because they were trying to be funny or they were trying to be cute or whatever. And I'm like, don't do that. And then I go back to it and I'm like, God, at the end of class, like, I will like, I think you were in that group chat and I like legitimately was just flat out apologize to the students for, you know, like, I'm sorry that this is how your class went, but this is how I felt, blah, 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 you know, and like, even that is hard as someone who's 10, 20 years older than some of these kids.
Right.
Is just being vulnerable and just saying, like, hey, I know that you had a hard day, but like, I had a hard day too. And we're on like an even playing field now.
Dude, I think a lot of where that comes, like, where you get success with that is like kind of snapping people out of it, like without like being rude, without like trying to attack exactly like whatever they just said, because a lot of times whatever the crap is they're like yelling at you or saying to you is like not really what's going on. They're just they're having a bad day, or they're bummed about something at home or whatever. They're just kind of like using this situation as defense against whatever they can do. But I think that like having the ability to kind of like not call them out, but kind of like be like, hey, you know, take a look at what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be doing that. Like I had my buddy who's a paraeducator, Eric. He was over here yesterday, or the day before, and he was talking about how.
He's working at Quest, isn't he?
No, I don't think so.
Longview School District. Okay,
go
ahead.
Continue. Yeah, he's doing Parks and Rec too. But I forget exactly what he says, but he works with like some younger kids, and sometimes he'll be able to kind of pull them to the side or kind of like look down at them like, hey man, like, you don't want to be doing that, do you?
Yeah.
Like, or you know, it's some sort of like something he says to them, like one little sentence that kind of reminds them, you know. And with kids, of course, it's easier, but sometimes with adults, I feel like we need, and this isn't a perfect example, but just fresh in my mind. Last night when I was DJing, I had this woman who, she was just drinking, having a good night, you know, but she was like, when she'd come to request a song, she'd get like aggressive if I didn't tell her exactly what she wanted to get.
Jake hates requests.
So I fucking kicked her out.
Yeah, sure.
No, but I actually, like, I don't know, I just felt super calm, and she was having a good time. She didn't mean any harm. She was too drunk by the end, and I was playing literally the last of two more songs, and she was coming up to basically just drunk staring at me until she could think of a song name and yell that. Like she didn't know what was song request. She was just doing the song request thing. Yeah. Like waiting for a song to pop up. And telling her no, whatever. And then she just like started like escalate, and she's like, you're not playing my request, and like all these things are starting to get mean. And then my buddy Kelly, who's also a DJ, was up there, and she like started like trying to like be mean to him, finger in his face. Like it just like escalated into this thing. And I just like stopped her, and I was like, listen, seems like you're just having a problem with being told no right now. Yeah. And that's a very like strange thing to say to like a grown person. Yeah. You know, but when someone's drunk and you don't want to, I'm not like trying to usher over security to get her like kicked out. That's
Take
not
her
what I
away.
want. But she wasn't leaving. It was like I had to deal with it. I was like, listen, you're just having a problem being told no. I promise you it's nothing against you. It's not personal. I'm just not going to play your song. That's that. We're done. We're done with that. And then what happened, like what me saying you're having a problem being told no, kind of like pulled her out of it, because her next thing, she like waited a few, like 10 seconds, and she started talking to me about, she's like, my son plays music. He likes music. She switched to this thing.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, she was just drunk, but essentially she, like me saying that, like I wasn't being rude. I was like, listen, I'm sorry. Like I can't, like you're having a problem being told no. I was stern with that, but I was like, your song's not being played. That's that. It's done. Yeah. And like making her realize that she's arguing against like thin air there. I don't know, just kind of pulled her out of it. And then she started being like a regular human again. She's like, I have a son and he likes music and there's music in front of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a drunk person example, but I feel like with young kids, with adults, like sometimes they just need to be like, hey man, I've been there too. I get upset too. Like you're just frustrated. Like, I'm so sorry. It's been a long day. Like if I can help you out tomorrow, like you said, like I got you tomorrow, like, but just be aware of it. Like, I feel like you can pull people out of it. Like a lot of times just like, hey, it's okay that you're feeling what you're feeling. Like, just be aware of it.
Yeah.
Because when I'm at work, I can't react the way I want to.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you literally couldn't.
Which keeps me guarded, which is a good thing, because if I could say what I wanted to say on the plane, it would not be good. So
serving teaches you that, huh? Working customer service makes you like,
yes, yeah, you have to like bite your tongue.
Well, it's crazy how intense I'm able to say things. Like imagine if you said that to a person.
You're having a problem.
So
hearing no.
They would probably write an email about me if I said that to Delta. But there's a lot of times I've gotten yelled at. How I know it's not me is just, you made me check my bag, and they start screaming at me. Or there's no overhead bin space. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, it's not my fault, you know.
Tell all these assholes on the plane to pack one thing.
Yeah, I got screamed at because someone didn't get the seat that they wanted, and I just looked at him and I'm like, you booked your ticket. Like, did I book your ticket?
Right. Yeah,
right? Like, it's, and then they're kind of like, well, and I'm like, yeah, so this isn't my problem that you're not in that seat. Like, I have no control over the seating. Like, this is something that you could have picked. Like, you could have picked the seat you wanted, but you didn't. And so they kind of just like, you kind of check them like that, but I can't say a lot.
Well, no, I think that's great right there. You don't have
to,
that is enough right there, because people think they can say whatever they want, and sometimes like, hey, like, I understand that you're mad, but you're being rude to me and I'm a human, remember? Yeah. You know, like that's enough to like reminding people like, oh, I also make mistakes. In any subtlety is enough, I think, for most people. Some people are just going to be like, oh, now you're mocking me, now you're condescending, now you're, whatever. But like, I think you can work your way out of it in a nice enough way, saying like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I did not mean to make that mistake. As soon as you use the word mistake, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, or like, I'm sorry, I'm human, like without being condescending, because that just sounds like dickish. But you can talk mostly everybody out of their like anger. I know if someone were to say like, I'm sorry, I'm human, I would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm even mad. Like it would totally take me out of that headspace. Someone called me a motherfucker. Because you were like, hell yeah. I went, excuse me? That's all I said. Right. And then he goes, I'm so sorry. It was over a seat though. I'm like, why you gotta be calling me a motherfucker over a fucking airplane seat? It's just shit like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. I know. You gotta bring the thing we talked about in the podcast. Like, you're about to be in a chair in a metal thing in the sky. Sit down. Yeah. Yes. Like, I mean, I know it's my profession. With the technology. I tell everyone this. It's so crazy. So crazy. That is crazy. Here we go again. Here we go again. I'm saying it again. But sometimes I'm in the air. This might make me sound stupid, but I'm like, how are there thousands of pounds of cargo, all these people, all the fuel, and we're able to fly in the sky? It's like, I'm just thinking about like, how are we flying? Like, I know how, but still I'm like, how is this happening? It's such a weird concept. Yeah, like you can watch the videos that show the thing underneath the wings, like how the air goes underneath it, but you're like, okay, that makes sense, but you're like, still doesn't fucking make sense. Yeah, like when you actually think about it, it's insane. And that is actually crazy. Yes, so you're allowed to say that. Yes, I think about that all the time. People are like, well, you're a flight attendant. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's still weird that we're able to just be 35,000 feet up with all these like so much weight on the plane, and we're just like floating in the sky. And
It's crazy.
It is so crazy.
But we were talked about on another podcast. People will be like, "Oh, the Wi-Fi hasn't worked in 5 minutes," and I'm looking at them like, "You're sitting in the sky. Like you're not even supposed to have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yes, you're not even supposed to have half the shit we have on the plane.
Yeah,
and
you're able
We've
to
accommodated to an insane extent for people to just have comfort.
Right.
Yes.
What's our like cap here? Like at what point are we gonna be like, oh, I had to move my left pinky to get my drink. Ugh.
Yeah.
No, people are like that sometimes in first class.
I'm sorry you didn't set that right in front of me.
Yeah,
Like on Wall-E, where they're just like,
I've never seen that movie.
I've never seen that movie either.
holy shite. Are you kidding me?
Holy shite.
Shite.
Cancel the plans.
Jake says fucking holy shite.
Cancel the plans. We got to watch Wall-E. It's
Yeah,
a
I've
great
never
movie.
seen
I've heard
it.
really good things about it. And
but-
I've never seen Up either. And
I haven't seen Up either.
Wow.
What? We've got a
Do you
want to
hear something that really is crazy?
Yes.
I've never fully watched The Lion King.
You didn't like, so you didn't see the ending?
What did you do as a kid?
I watched Jurassic Park on repeat.
Oh,
That's
right.
tight,
You're
though.
right.
Yeah, but I've never sat down. Last year it was playing on the plane, like the animated version, not the new one. I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna watch it, and I fell asleep. I've never
I
seen
feel
it
like
all
you
the
might
way
have missed
through.
the bump, though. I feel like it's like, it's not like it's like a crazy enthralling movie as an
It was
adult.
just
Like
a
we have
childhood
so
movie.
many
Yeah.
crazy baller ass movies. It's just, I think the timing wise, like, dude, Snow White was like the first color movie, I think. Like,
And I don't know that I've ever watched like a lot of the like
yeah.
princess movies all the way through.
I think that it
Like
was,
the
I think they
Disney
were so
Vault
profound
ones.
because
Yeah.
of the time. Like, because I didn't grow up. I think that I had like seen a couple of them, but I didn't really grow up watching a ton of Disney movies either.
Yeah.
But my interest in them now is like, I've seen Lion King now, but my interest in them now is because they like compare a lot of it to like philosophy and stuff.
So when I was little, if I like something, I stuck to it, and I never tried a lot of other things. So if I watched Ferngully, and did you ever see that?
Loved that
Yeah,
one.
I was obsessed with it. I would watch it and then I'd rewind it and watch it again. And so I felt like the couple movies that I watch, like my parents were like, why don't you just put this in? And I was like, no.
A lot of kids do that though. A lot
Yeah.
of kids do that. So it's not like, but I do that still. Like I used to watch The Notebook
Just
on
you?
repeat. Yeah, on repeat.
That's fucking depressing.
In college.
And I just can't picture you liking it that much.
If you ask any of my, like ask Liz, she, poor girl, she used to live with me, but I would come home from LCC and I would have like 3 hours between like practice and school, and I would lay down and I would watch The Notebook, and then I would wake up and go to practice. But like my friend Megan would come over and she like will tag me in things like, oh, The Notebook is here. And I'm like, oh my God. Alice in Wonderland. I did that too. Like the Johnny Depp version of Alice in Wonderland. I still probably, if I had a DVD player, I would watch it on repeat.
Wait, so I want to go back to The Notebook. Why do you like what were you searching
Why
for?
do you like it?
No, no, The Notebook is a great movie, but to watch it every day, like what were you searching for? Or was it
and
just watching their love story?
I am a hopeless romantic.
Me
And
too.
at the time, I was in a relationship with douchebag.
Yes.
In a relationship.
Yeah.
So
he
I was
bad.
watching for I do this with all of those movies. Like even now, like Tyler and I's relationship is great, but like romance and like that like drawn out, that is my like creative side, is very like emotional and deep and romantic and just like full of feelings. And I watch things like that because that's a way to get that out.
Okay.
But like in my real life, if Tyler were to come home and like write me love letters and do this, I would feel uncomfortable. If it was actually happening to me in my life, like that's why Tyler and I work so well, because he doesn't do this like cheesy, corny shit. Like he's like, hey babe, I bought my own protein bars this week, and I'm like, thank God you're not gonna eat mine. That's romantic to me. But
that
like,
just turned me on.
yeah, I'm like, thank you, honey, you're stepping up. But like, if he were to like, I don't know, I just think I don't actually like the whole concept of it. I like the idea and the background and the depth and severity of
Okay.
it. But like, I don't think I actually am a hopeless romantic. Like, I don't really want you to light candles because I'm like, I like those ones, and I don't want you to light them unless I'm ready to, you know. And like, I don't really want a bath because it's gonna get cold in 5 minutes. Like, I'll make my own bath. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like, I think conceptually I like it, but like realistically, I don't.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It's like a nice little fantasy to live through.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
okay.
my fantasy.
Yeah, because I was like, are you watching this because you want to cry? Like, why are you watching it every day? Okay.
It's the depth and the emotion and like because there's a lot of emotion in those movies.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that whole movie could be
cry a
solved
lot.
by just a little more communication.
Right, but it's also, we're in today's age.
We start dissecting the movie. Well, if she would have done this.
If she would have broken up with her husband first.
So do you this was an interesting conversation with me, my mom, and Shaylee the other day. When you're watching a movie, like I realized that like people with different like thought processes in ways of seeing the world actually like see movies completely different, of course. But like so as I'm watching a movie, I'm every character in the movie. Like I'm projecting myself into like, so when they're crying about their whatever, like I'm thinking of some sort of similar
Relatability.
yeah, a similar emotion that I can get to there and like matching it. Like so like when I cry during an emotional movie, it's because I'm like riding the wave of this actors, right? So like I'm like putting myself into the movie. Like I was talking with Shaylee and I was telling her that and she was like, yeah, I just like watched the movie.
She like sees it objectively and for its
Yeah,
scenes.
but she cries nonetheless. Like she'll, she's invested as well, but she doesn't actually watch movies the same way that I do.
She cries from the story. You cry as the human or as the character.
Yeah, like I cry from like an understanding. Like I do whatever I can to throw myself into the understanding of every single character in that movie. Like that's what I'm doing when I'm watching a movie.
Yep.
But it's what do you do?
That's
do you do
how I
that?
watch movies.
What about you, Mac? Can you think about that?
It depends on the movie. I feel like some movie, like
Jurassic Park.
like Jurassic Park. Actually, I can see both.
I feel like the
I want
dinosaurs.
to eat him. Like movies like Jurassic Park, I just love this. I don't put myself in the characters. Like the storyline fascinates me. Just like the whole DNA aspect of it, and just like not even like the T-Rex. Okay, I'm getting carried away. But anyway, I just watched Jurassic Park. But certain emotional movies, I don't put myself in every character, I would say, but it does go through my mind like this way that this character's feeling right now. I've gone through that, and I can like relate it to times in my life, like when it's like this hopeless romantic like not good scene or whatever, and someone's sad. It's like, oh, I know how that character's felt. Like I've been there, and so that makes me emotional. But sometimes it's a storyline too. Like I know it's fake, and I'm like, I want them to work
Hallmark
so
movies.
bad, and it's like, Mac, they're not together in real life.
Every
like,
Hallmark movie ever. I watch them and I'm like, they're gonna fall in love, and it's like the same story.
It's
like,
predictable
Christmas,
now.
They're in their
Right.
hometown,
yeah.
and I'm still like.
Did Mac? I know that you've like One Tree Hill, the OC, like those. Because I was thinking about it. So like, there is one character we always like. Did you do OC and One Tree Hill as well?
No, I did One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill?
Ask Brandon
That was
Cruz.
my shit, man.
Because there's like one character that you. So the OC, for example, Ryan, who's like the like poor kid trying to fit in with the rich kid sort of thing. Like I remember, I was
So
like,
hot.
bro, like he's so me. Like I was like just understood everything he was going through, and like you like think you're living this little secret life through him,
Yeah.
You're like, bro, I totally get you, and you're
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah.
I felt like I wasn't like Marissa, but I was in a way. Just the way I don't know. I wasn't exactly like her character, but I could tell like how she hid things and tried to deal with things. Like she'd act out in certain ways because she was feeling all these emotions, but she couldn't get them out. Punch the mic, sorry, but she couldn't get them out, and so she would drink or she'd do different things, and it's like I've definitely coped with things the wrong way, and so I get where she was coming from. Like her character is very dramatic, but then I could see behind that like she's going through all this shit at home and with her past relationship, so she's just trying to cope and she's acting out in these ways. So what character are you on One Tree Hill?
I don't know.
Skills. Just kidding.
I'm trying to like. I'm trying. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of all the characters now.
I know. What about you, Jessica? What's your on One Tree Hill? How long has it been since you watched it?
A long time. Since I moved back to Arizona. That's what Brandon Cruz, like when Brandon and Lacey started dating, Brandon met me and like I was just stoned on the couch watching One Tree Hill. He would like,
He's like, so you're going through a stage.
He meets me and I'm like potatoed on the couch And then like 6 hours later, him and Lacey come back, and I'm still fucking there. I didn't have a job when I first moved back. Like, I was just like, I'm going back to Arizona. I have $600 in my pocket. Like, here I go. And then I'm just like smoking all their weed and laying on their couch. And Brandon's just like, Lacey, this is your friend. Like, you talked so good about her. I mean, like, it took me like a week. And
he's like, does she do anything?
Yeah, he was
what happens if I open the blinds?
Brandon was legitimately like, this cannot be one of your best friends. Like, I don't believe you're Lacey and you have this best friend.
Hey, sometimes you need that time to just sit on the couch and get high for a couple weeks.
That time doesn't represent you. Like, you're who you are your whole life.
Honestly, that was a good solid time for me, because I don't take breaks.
Yeah.
Like, I take some naps and I do chill, but like, I'm always going, and there's always shit going on in my brain. Like, I'm always planning and going and prepping and making sure this is done and this is done and this is done. And that was a time where I was just like, I'm going to exist. I'm going to exist, and I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to let myself just decide where I'm going.
I feel like you were pretty happy when you were like going to Arizona. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Following, like, I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, but this feels right?
It was just fun. Like, it was literally just pure, like, I didn't have to, like, I was going to college, but I didn't have to have a career at that point. My best friends were my roommates, and we didn't have to like make a bunch of friends. We didn't have to work that hard. Like, it was just, I mean, we worked a lot. Like, we all were servers. So we all were working 4 and 5 days a week, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. But it was just like fun. It was just fun at that point in my life.
Go ahead, Mac.
No, you go.
Do you think that, so Shaylee and I notice, I guess not just servers, but like just thinking of like when we were young, like we were once like the 17 through, 22-year-old or 16 through whatever, like we were the ones working the customer service. Like we were behind, me and Shaylee, we were selling people stuff at PacSun and clothing stores and you're working at coffee shops and serving. And Mackenzie, did you work customer service?
Yeah.
We worked at Applebee's.
We worked at Applebee's.
Yeah.
I served for like 6 years.
So do you, I don't know, I always just try to like, and I'm not saying like this is 100% true or anything, but I feel like I notice less engagement from the person on the other side. Like, so when we go to PacSun, like the person working, I kind of feel like an old man, like, oh, these kids don't appreciate what they have or something. But like they aren't engaged. They don't like, they're not like, hey, how are you? Like they'll say what they're told to say, but they don't like actually like really talk. Like a lot of times it'll be like they're texting behind the counter or whatever, which is, big deal. But I don't know. Do you guys think, I guess, just compared to your time working, serving, have you noticed any change? Like you at a younger age versus kids now at that same age? What differences do you
think a
notice?
lot, like you were saying with texting and stuff, there's a lot more social media now. Mm-hmm. And so I feel a lot of relationships are over the phone. Like I do believe people obviously still talk in person and meet up in person, but a lot of dating, a lot of different things are behind the screen and people are attached to their phones. So I feel that customer service, not all of them, but I do see the interactions in person are just going way, way down because everyone is so used to communicating over like with their phone now. And back then,
other skills.
Yeah, back then I feel what we had Facebook, like all this stuff wasn't really, it was up and coming. But I'm thinking back to like my first job. I didn't have Instagram or anything like that. I was way more personable at that time when I was 16 and stuff. I think I had a MySpace and then, that was it. And then, but of course, like as I grew up and I was still serving when I had Instagram and things like that. But definitely I think the more the social media world has grown, I can notice people aren't talking as much face to face.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like to think of like we're sharpening our skills in so many ways. Like there's so much good and so much knowledge through our phones and stuff, but like they do, it does take away in other areas. Like we do lose people skills, and people skills aren't just like so you can get a good job and you could do good at interviews. Like people skills make you feel like when you're able to like have an open conversation, with your shoulders back and actually like engage in a conversation with a stranger, for example, like that makes you feel a certain way, like when you're able to like be open and have, even with somebody that you like one of your friends, like, if you're not able to have like the same friendship as you are through the phone in person, it's different. Like we literally feel different when we're engaging with people. and communication. So I wonder if we're just like maybe losing a little bit of that, like just as a byproduct of all the cool things that our phones are bringing us.
I definitely feel like I engage and have always engaged with older people. Like in college, when we would go to away games, like I have a pretty vivid memory. We were like at like a buffet or something, and I'm standing in line, and my whole team is there. There's like 20 of us that are 19, 18, and there's like an older couple that's standing in front of us, and they like turn around and make the conversation, and I'm making the conversation, and then everybody else behind me is just like avoidant. And it, to me, I'm like, oh, that's normal, because I am so used to talking to people that I'm like, oh, whatever. But then now as I get older and I reflect on it, I know that I talk to a lot more older people will talk to me and have the conversations. And I don't know if it's maybe I just give off a presence that, or I have an open body language or something that says like, I'm willing to speak to you. But like if I go to the grocery store, the old lady ahead of me is going to make a joke about something I have in my, and I'm like, oh, haha, and I play into it.
Right.
But like same thing goes, I see it with Tyler. He gives off this like, don't talk to me. I don't really want to have a conversation with you. And I don't even know if it's just because he's like a completely different personality or what. But I know that when we go places that I think I just give off a like, talk to me. I'd love to have a conversation,
I like friends.
Yeah, hi. And sometimes I go and I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to people. But like I still get talked to because I think a part of just something in my body language says like, I'll chat. Even if I don't want to, I'm going to chat, you know? Yeah. And I think a lot of people now and a lot of kids, especially, like I go into places and I'm like, I don't want to talk. I'm not going to even strike up a conversation or make a like funny joke or nothing because they're just doing their thing. I think it's I think it's body language. Yeah,
it's peculiar because I like when I was incredibly depressed, I feel like I would like try to give off the vibe of like, hopefully nobody talks to me. Like you wear your hat a little bit lower. I mean, when it comes, I'm huge on like physiology and like having your shoulders back, pushing your chest out, for me, like helps so much with like confidence and stuff. And I feel like for so long, I would just wear like as baggy clothes as I could. And I would just kind of be hunched over. And like, if I got a hood, I'm gonna put that on too, those sort of things. But, and like people do pick up on that, like they don't, and it's not like you're walking around like with a scythe and you're like the dead floating around, the Grim Reaper or anything. But there it is kind of interesting to point out, there is like a vibe just by like your body language, your posture, like what you're looking around at of like, I'll talk to you or I'll be nice to you or whatever. And I think that it compounds. I think that it adds up. Like my anxiety when I go into a store, like, instead of thinking constantly like, hopefully nobody talks to me, and you're kind of just thinking about yourself because you're anxious. Now it's like, I'm just walking around the store doing my thing. Like I'm shopping, I'm not even
what
thinking
everybody else is doing.
And I just know, and I just trust that if someone does talk to me, I don't have to have it planned. Yeah. I can just talk to them and whatever I say is okay. Like, I feel like, I just using a grocery store, I guess, for that example, but I don't know. I think I'm just kind of curious. I like to think about things in the long term, like, kids who are 6 years old and they're like going to have the next 20 years of just technology, and they're not really going to be learning like these outward, like human, like, if there's nobody in your life that you mimic that has that, and you don't have like the ability or knowledge to like do it yourself, then I don't know, because you can make your depression worse, and you can make yourself feel worse by hunching over and not being open and all these things. So
not like learning from others. My dad was always a chatty person. Like we would go places and he would talk to anyone and everyone. And I think that's probably why by nature I feel that same, which is super bizarre. I don't know why. Like it's for me, that's a like male female thing. Females tend to talk more, but my dad has always been such a chatty Cathy. Like we go to the store and I'm like, oh, here's 14 people my dad knows.
What's he talking about on average when you're a little kid just looking up at your dad? Like, what's he talking about?
He's probably like reconnecting with like, how you been? He sees somebody from high school and he chats with them, or he talks about like, oh, work, or, I don't know. Anything. It's anything. My dad is the goofiest guy. So when I think maybe I've just seen that, like we'll walk out of the store and my dad will make it a point to go to that Girl Scout and buy those cookies because he wants to make sure that they're supported and they're talked to, you know?
Right.
And it's like it's things like that I've never recognized until now I'm an adult and I'm like, oh, like Tyler, this little girl said, would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? And he like avoided her and I was like, no, thank you. And I was like, you didn't even say anything. He said, I smiled. I'm like, that doesn't count.
I grunted and said, huh.
I know, I was like offended by his reaction. I'm like, we're nice people. But like, I think because I grew up on that, like.
Yeah, it's probably being around your dad and him being that way. Mm-hmm. That's how you grew up, and you talk a lot, not in a bad way, but you know, you've noticed you're like, oh, I talk crazy. A lot, and I can joke, and you're saying these things about your dad, and it's probably you grew up that way, and so I think life is all about human connection. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, everyone wants that human connection, but you're talking about like this generation of kids, if they're just on their phone and they're not, say their parents are at work and they're not having a lot of human interaction, they're gonna have social skills. They're not gonna know how to connect with people because everything's based off technology and the phone.
Right.
Well, and their parents, they go to the restaurant, their parents give them the phone to keep them quiet, to keep them out of their hair. And so then they're just by nature, like every time they go out to a restaurant, that's what they want to do, is be on their phone rather than have a conversation with the person next to them. I think it's very common. Yeah. Like you see that in between people walking in the malls, people walking in anywhere. You see so many people. You see all these groups of friends going out, and they're all on their phone. I mean, I definitely am guilty of it. I'm always on my phone, but I'm also very aware of my connection to the people I'm with. Yeah. So I can.
Yeah, I feel like
both.
I feel like I used to be on my phone so much more, but it's because I was just super depressive and like I wanted to be, like I was just self-conscious and like thinking like you just get caught in your own brain. But now like when I'm like, oh, I'm on my phone, or like I'll check something, or like, you know, give yourself a few seconds on your phone, and then now I have this thing where I notice, I'm like, oh yeah, you're on your phone and you're actually at Applebee's with your friends. Remember, you love your friends. Like, and like just like that, like quick little reminder, not an argument in your head, but all that, just hit that lock button on the side of your phone and turn it face down, and just look at one of your friends and say something. You know what I mean? Like it's seriously weird, but like it helps. Like, and none of your friends are ever gonna think you're weird, man. Just like I feel like. It's a weird thing to point out, but we almost have to, this thing is so great that we almost have to like, oh yeah, there's such thing as too much of a good thing. Like, this is a good thing too. Yeah. I'm not going to miss this thing that I'm reading on Reddit or this like Instagram post.
I can read it later.
Yeah. But like, I'm going to like, when life is over, or in 6 years when I'm reminiscing about what's cool in my life, this is going to be one of those moments.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, you're just like spending those moments on your phone, you know? So I don't know. That's where I've changed. I make it an effort, and I, you know, even if I'm feeling a little bit socially anxious, or I just smoked a big joint right before, so I'm super nervous. I'll be like, fuck man, it's okay to be high. Your friends don't care. And then I'll put my phone down and I'll just talk to them about zombies or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like we've all been friends for so long. Like, even outside of this room, all of our friends know we're weird. All of them.
Right.
Like, everyone in my friends
understand your weirdness now.
It's just when I say shit, they're like, yeah, that's just you. Like, you're weird.
Well, dude, I mean, none of us know what we're gonna say. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna say right fucking now.
I never do.
None of us. Like, we're just talking. Like, and when you have friends around, when you have people that just love you no matter what, you know, like it's just like you have that trust too. And I feel like so many people have that, but we forget about it sometimes. We get in our own heads and we just want to be on our phone and safe, you know.
I get on my phone at like at night when I want to Pinterest, and I'm just kind of like trying to be mindless because I just want to like dole out kind of how my day was, and I do that as like a way to kind of like, I don't know. It's almost like a mindless thing for me. So if I'm looking through Instagram, it's likely because I'm just like looking to look. I'm not really like, I've stopped after I did that like 3-month, almost 4-month break, I think. I took like I stopped comparing, and now I'm just like enjoying like, oh, my friends are doing this, but I'm also like, oh, my friends are doing this. And I'm just kind of like using it as a means to digress a little bit from my day, which
not think anything too complicated.
Yeah, which for me is like, that's initially what it should have been for, but I got too involved in it. Now I can look at it from objectively. Yeah. I appreciate that now, because I didn't want to delete social media like a couple months ago. I was like, I don't really want to delete it. I just want to like use it as my in the right way, and now I'm using it as a sleep mechanism.
Unwind,
I'm feeling kind of
My
tired.
friend's life updates bore me to sleep.
Yeah, that's not how I think of it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I use Reddit. I use Reddit before bed, but I've Reddit for me is like it can be like your internet sort of. So it's like my interest. So I have like a bunch of like audio stuff and there's funny stuff, but I don't add in like I unfollowed on Instagram even like all of like the like self-deprecating and like the gnarly ones and like the gross ones. I just like I don't really want to like put those in my head. But so on Reddit I just like I just consume things that interest me and like things that I'm like, if I float off dreaming about that ain't so bad, you know.
Yeah.
But also not stuff that's too complicated, because sometimes I'll be like fucking thinking I need to like solve all life's riddles right before bed and I can't sleep.
I use Pinterest.
What's your Pinterest right now? Like if you go to your profile, what's like your...
So I have always just done the explore page. So it's everything that's like relative to my clicks or my boards. And my boards are very like me. They're very like my home, my relationship, my friends. This is what I have like baking and gifts and just like stuff that I'm like, this all interests me and it all is something that pertains to my life. So for me, Pinterest is like my own.
I think that's very good. That's very healthy.
Yeah, it is very healthy. And it's like, I have a cute closet on Pinterest, but I'm also not like, I have to have this piece because I have it in my Pinterest.
Yeah, because Pinterest could get unhealthy, I feel like, in that way. Like, I need that. Like all these things that you really need. But
yeah. Well, and also I think Pinterest, I have a like aesthetically pleasing boards for me. And I've done that as like an OCD thing. But I also know that if I like a pin that I'm like, man, that's going to look ugly. Well, I'll just put it in there anyways because I want to freaking know that. Like, I want to know you use baking soda on such and such. I want to know that so that later when I'm like, how the hell do you get blood out of your carpet? Like, I don't know, you know?
okay.
Are you planning to kill someone?
No, actually, I was thinking because Tyler's trying to be Chip Gaines lately and he's just bleeding everywhere. We have blood on the wall here and he's
Demolition Day.
Yes. Tyler today, he was like trying to put something up and he's just bleeding. I'm like, honey, there's blood on the wall.
He texted me the other day to go, he's like, you want to take down a shed? I'm like, I want nothing more. Like I would love to just destroy a shed with you, but I had to do something else. But it's stuff's exciting to just
He
demolish
took out
stuff.
our closet wall and he was like, honey, come here. Do you have something that you're like mad about? I was like, not really. He's like, kick through this wall.
Adorable. How'd it feel? Did you kick through it?
Yeah, but I got stuck. So
Yeah, I was bleeding. We had to go to the hospital. It's expensive.
like it wasn't as exciting for me because I don't get like excitement from like beating things up, but he was like loving it. Like our house, he just has been like, take that down, fix this. Like Tyler, I've become like more in love with Tyler for who he is all of a sudden because he just has become this like man I never knew. Well, I never knew this side of Tyler.
Yeah.
Until now. It's really cool. He's like, just seeing him evolve into like it gives him more of like a dad aspect, so it's like 10 times more sexy.
Yeah, of course.
Like he just suddenly is like, I can take a wall down. I'm like,
and you're
all
like,
right.
fucking take it down. I'll watch.
You go, honey. I love you so much.
Like his personal cheerleader.
Yeah, and he's probably just like, oh, God, this fucking wall. But I'm like, man, take that wall down. Yeah, anyway.
That's something, okay, before we started, we wanted to talk about life changes. And I feel like now is the perfect time for you guys to talk about this.
Thought we did we?
Let's talk about it. Mackenzie, what are life changes?
What? Me?
Yeah, let's start with you.
I feel like I'm really evolving and growing as a person, especially through this last year. I feel like it started... I went through something traumatic a couple years ago and I kind of lost myself for a while, but through that I learned a lot. And this past year, I made a lot of mistakes. 2019, I felt like I coped with things wrong. I would turn to, not like I wanted to drink, I wanted to be distracted. So I felt like every week I was dealing with something, and every weekend I was like, okay, I'm going to make plans with these friends and these friends. But everyone knows most social things are drinking. Like, not all of them, but most of the time.
It's a lubricant.
You're like, oh, let's meet up at this bar. Let's go to dinner and have drinks, or let's do this. And I feel...
I definitely did say at some point to Tyler, like, damn, Mack T is partying like crazy right now.
Yeah, last year I just... I got out of a relationship the year before, and...
Right.
I had built my life around this person, and so I never knew what it was like to be alone, to be single. And I think being single kind of scared me a little bit, and like we talked about emotions before, I didn't want to face it. Like, I just handled everything in the wrong way, and I was just, I didn't want to sit at home and face what was going on and learn more about myself. I was like, nope, I need to be distracted. I was just coping totally in the wrong way. And I made a lot of mistakes. And I remember I went back to school last October. When I started going back to school, I was drinking less and I was just more focused on my homework and stuff. And I was like looking at this past year and I was like, man, I totally did everything wrong, but I don't regret it because I learned so much through it. But last October is really when I started taking a look at myself as a person and who I want to be. I was like, I don't want to be this person that just pushes my feelings away and I'm going through something. And so I just need to stay distracted. Last year I needed to be alone last year, really is what it came down to. I really just needed to focus on me. And I started doing that in October, and I've become a lot happier. Of course, I still go out and drink sometimes, but that was my whole life was involving drinking and everything. And I started writing more. I started reading more books and taking breaks off of social media and just doing things that made me happy. And just really realizing my actions and what I was doing and even when I was drunk, how you say something when you're drunk and and I was waking up and I'm like, that's not who I am. Why would I even say that? I don't want to be that person, or getting caught up in gossip. I was like, this isn't the person that I want to be. But when people are around drinking and something gets brought up, everyone kind of goes in on it. And I was just like, if I was a guy, would I want to date this person that I've been acting like, kind of like how are other people viewing me? So I really took a step outside of myself. And I feel like that was the best thing for me. Yes, I regret things, but also if I wouldn't have gone through things last year, I would probably be that same person in a way.
Right.
And it's really given me a big wake-up call. So I've just been learning a lot this past year and growing. And I like where it's headed. But it definitely takes a lot of trial and error and a lot of different things like that to become that person. So
it's so crazy, it's so profound to realize I have to go through these things or I wouldn't know what I know now.
Yeah.
It's like all the strength I have is for things that I've done and things that have happened to me. It sucks, but a lot of times you gotta once you can realize that you're through it, you can realize oh, that was just a learning experience. Now I have tools in my tool belt to go forward in my life,
Yeah, looking at last year, I was like, oh, I regret this, or I regret talking to this person, but then I'm like, no, because every mistake that I made has brought me to this point, and I know I'm not going to do it again this following year. And I was like, 2020 is my year, but then all this bad shit in the world is going on.
I think a lot of people honestly are like, hell yeah, 2020's here, which we do it every year, but that even, and it's, I keep using this word today, but aesthetically pleasing. Looking at 2020
Clear
makes
eyes.
you feel like,
think about vision.
Yeah.
It's just nice. It just feels nice, and it.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you
Thanks
guys?
for sharing those, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
That's great.
Let's
That's
hear
awesome.
from you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like you've done the least
what's it?
talking.
Ask me the question again. Is it changes?
Changes. How are you feeling about life changes? What kind of life changes are you making?
So I mean, lots of changes. I feel like on so many different change levels. I feel like I change more every day. I adapt into something new every day. I'm just leaning into my healing in every way. I've gone to the counselor twice. I felt pretty good about it. I haven't made excuses to stop myself from going. I've been, I don't know. I feel like a lot of my changes are, I'm in the trusting my changes stage right now. Cause I feel like I made so many changes 2 years ago when I just started healing and doing better. But now I'm trusting writing out those changes. I'm trusting that I can build a bigger life than I thought I deserved before. I don't know. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of just changes of being this age, and just kind kind of like stepping into my like gifts, so to say. For me, honestly, a huge thing for me is spirituality. Like when it comes to changes, like it's something that I like find myself reluctant about, or I feel like I want to like make fun of it a little bit, but like truthfully, it makes me feel fantastic. Like learning about spirituality and what it means to me, and like honestly, like leaning into my connection with nature, like that's a huge change. Like I really do feel like when I go out in the woods and I like go for a run and I'm just surrounded by trees, like I can't even explain it, but I feel so much better. And like a lot of the changes for that is me like admitting it out loud. Like I've always would enjoy it, but like I always like would make fun of people or something. Like you know, like it feels like, oh well, that's not me, that's not my identity, and so I had to like negate it or something. So I guess leaning into my changes too, accepting my changes, and like allowing them to like carry me forward, I suppose. Yeah. Well, I guess nothing specifically, I guess, but
I think nature's so great. It really is.
Dude, I just watched Paul Stamets. It's a Fantastic Fungi. He just released it. It's now out. But Megan and I, like 2 weeks ago, went and saw it in Portland at a theater, and it's so good. And it's just like about mushrooms and nature. I don't want to go on about it, but seriously, anybody listening, watch that Fantastic Fungi. Jessica, what are changes that you?
I feel like Tyler and I should probably watch that because he's all into mushrooms.
Oh my God, he would love it. He would love it. Yes.
Tyler.
Fantastic Fungi.
He's definitely not listening 90 minutes into this. He's giving up.
He just complimented. Compliment again.
Love you, babe. You're hot.
You're hot, Tyler.
Hi.
And you're smart.
Hi, Tyler. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we like kind of touched base on a few of the things that like changes in my life. Like overall, things have been just shifting a little bit, but I think my mindset has been changing a lot too. Like, this is so silly, but I did this yesterday, and maybe it's the COVID virus, or maybe it's just me.
She has the virus.
So because we're starting this business, we like obviously have to decide. When you're branding something in a business, you have to say like, I choose to have these core values. That's like a very basic business mindset. However, at the end of the day, like people want to know, or like to be a like business, I guess, maybe just this generic structured business, we need to have these core values. And like, I have integrity, and I say that, and I say it with almost this, like I'm doing an injustice to the word integrity, because this whole time I've thought I have integrity because I say I'm going to do what I do. Sometimes I don't. Like my friends are like, you coming over? Yeah, for sure. And then it gets to that day and I'm like, ooh, canceling. Because I know for my own well-being, I need to cancel. I need to take that break. I need that moment. But like I went to the bathroom yesterday and I was like being extra cautious with my paper towel. So I never opened the door with the paper towel because I don't give a shit. Like I'm going to have germs, and that's just how it's going to be, and whatever. And I've always been very like, I don't care about germs, but like I used because I'm being extra cautious, I used the paper towel, and then I like threw it at the trash, and it didn't make it in the trash. And I walked out the door, and like I literally, door didn't even shut, and I like ran back into the door as it's closing on me. And I was like, damn it, have some damn integrity. Like I had a self-talk where I was like, go pick that shit up off the floor. Cause I know I get mad when I go to a restroom and there's paper towels all over the floor. I'm like, wow, y'all are dicks. And I think about it from like a woman's standpoint, like, women are pissed when their husband doesn't pick up their socks off the floor, but they're going to throw their trash on the floor. And then I think like, well, I'm not having any integrity if I don't like walk back and do that. So I would say like, as of lately, like very recently, integrity's been huge on my mind. Right. It's just been something, because I do feel like I tend to say like, and I've done this to you a lot. Yeah, I'm for sure down today, this day. And then the day gets here and I'm like, ooh, not for it, which I know you understand my like,
oh yeah,
sorry, canceling because I just need a brain break, or I need a mental, I need emotional something. But I don't feel like everyone understands that. And I hate when I say I'll do something and I don't do it. And my friends, Jesse and Lacey, we were talking about like words that described, Lacey and I, and they had said reliable. And I like questioned it. Like to it.
You're like, am I reliable?
Yeah, I literally was like, you guys think I'm reliable, huh? And like, I know I'm reliable. I know I am. But I also know that I waver a lot of times where I'm not. But when I say I will be at something and it is a for sure I'm going to be there, I will show up and I will be there 100%. But I know there are times where I'm like, yeah, I'll come. but I don't actually mean it. Like, I know I'm still questioning if I'm going to be there.
I feel like so, like when someone catches you off guard, though, like I'll be so caught up in the momentum of the exciting conversation. I'm like, bro, I'm coming. I'll sell. I bought a ticket already. Like sometimes you get excited in the moment, though. There is that. Also,
I think it's important, like you were saying, for your self-care. Like if you're in a state and you're like, I don't need to be around people tonight, or I haven't had a moment to myself, and I'm not going to be fully present in this moment. I need some time to myself before I meet up with someone. I think it's good to recognize that, because you got to think about yourself sometimes, you know?
Right. I think that's something maybe I've always done, probably, and I'm just now reflecting on it enough to say, like, because for a long time, I've been the person who's like, yeah, I can for sure do that. I would love to be there. And I'm a yes person. I always want to be there. I always want to go do stuff. Like, I absolutely want to be involved. But I know that I give a lot of myself away a lot of the time. And I know that there are times where I just need to look. And I say this, like, you guys probably think I'm joking, but like, I want to lay on my couch and stare at the ceiling.
No.
And for me, that
sounds amazing.
It's a brief moment of just like nothing, and I want to have that, because I'm like I was saying, I'm constantly like here, there, that, you know.
And just being able to like let your mind unwind, just taking some time to yourself. Sometimes it feels great not to think about anything, just nothing. Like
just say don't solve anything right now.
Like don't even. I just want to be in my room. I want to either just stare at the ceiling, or maybe I want to watch One Tree Hill, like mindless drama. You know what I mean?
For me, I put on Parks and Rec for the millionth time, and I watch it, you know, but I don't. Like you just kind of like,
Remember when Friends used to be on TV? Because me too.
I've been like rewatching, The Office. I like fall asleep to it every night. Even though I've seen it a million times, it's just that thing that's there. And then I can just like unwind in my room.
Turn off the other stuff and just feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I like that, Jessica. I think just like, it's funny that you were like immediately hard at yourself. Like, oh, like you guys think I'm reliable? Yeah. You know, because like reliable could mean something different, you know, in that context.
Right.
Like, you're like, oh, I cancel all the time. They're like, fuck, dude, like we do too. Like they probably won't even think about things. They're like, no, in these ways you're reliable.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they're thinking. I have like the first, I don't know, I feel like I was like more flaky at the beginning of the podcast. Like I feel like if the other person wasn't like 100% like all in, I'd be like, cool, it's fine, man, no big deal. Like don't come. But now I have like something, I feel like I'm building a little integrity there too. Like I'm trying to, like, if I schedule a podcast, like I'm gonna make it happen.
It's a business meeting.
Yeah. And for me, sometimes making that happen in this like crazy world means that like I text them 3 days before, and then I text them the day before, like, hey, you still good for tomorrow? Like,
it's like an appointment reminder for the dentist, you know.
And I feel like I actually had a day where I drank the night before. Like I ended up having just a fun night, like randomly, like friends came over, and then we met up with we saw Zach Dyer. He like came over to the Tap House and saw us, and it was just one of those nights where I'm like, man, you know, like this is an open night. I don't have any work to do. Yeah. We got drunk. I had just the greatest time. I felt fucking terrible the next morning. I woke up and I had a podcast at 11, and the first initial thing I was like, I should text him and see if I can get a couple hours later, or, you know, whatever. I could try to like swindle my way out of it. But right away, I was like, no, man, you drank. You're going to do that podcast hungover if that's what it is. Like, and you're going to show out. Like, you're going to write decisions. Notes.
Yeah.
You're going to, or like if you are feeling too shitty, like you're going to go outside and you're going to work out till you puke and get that out and feel better. Like, that's my mindset now with that. But it's cool. Like,
it's like a passion though for you then.
Yeah. Like assigning yourself to that. But I don't know. I feel like you're the same way. Like you're building this bartending business, and it's like the same thing. You're like, what side of me do I want to represent? How do I want to hold myself accountable in these ways, you know? And I feel like you kind of got to make your own rules and give them power, you know? I think that's pretty powerful.
Lacey and I, because we always hang out. We're like, hey, what are you doing today? Mm-hmm. We don't work till 4. Cool. Let's hang out for 3 hours or whatever. But we legitimately on Thursday were like, it is a business meeting. We cannot cancel it. We cannot change it. We are having a bit, because otherwise Lacey and I are just going to chill and probably make lunch and watch some TV. Like whatever we feel like doing. Like let's walk the dog. But we had to like put down, we're doing this.
That's something really cool. I think, how about that? So like entrepreneurs or people who are like trying to do something passionate or something serious, like making rules for your hangouts. Like, because I feel like Brandon and I, like, we flirt with it. We haven't successfully totally done it because we just have so much fun, man. Like, I mean, we'll make beats and stuff. We'll do like super fun stuff. But like, we have had times like, bro, like, let's meet up and let's just get a video done today, or let's just get a song done, or whatever it is. I think more people should like go into their friend groups. Like, if you have creator friend groups, or you have like entrepreneur friend groups, or even just one homie, be like, hey man, I do want to hang out today, but like, let's just make sure we get this thing done by 3 p.m. Or let's make sure we like just focus on this. And if something fun comes up, and of course, like, we're like, hey man, Olive Garden sounds good. Let's go to Olive Garden. Like, of course it's gonna sound good. Motherfucking Olive Garden. Of course it's gonna sound good. She's like, breadsticks?
I was like Alfredo sauce.
Well, no, but like, so I think it is cool to see, as much as I try to kind of push like, your friends are your counselors, your friends are your therapists, your friends are your family, your friends are like, you can talk to them about things. You don't have to schedule this thing and be otherwise. Like, if your passion is, if you love your friends, but your passion is like your business, and they have another business that coincides, you guys can work together. Like, say, hey man, like, we're going to hang out on Wednesday, but like, let's hang out. Let's do 6 fucking hours of business work.
Yeah. And then we can hang.
Yeah. And that's not always just like, don't talk to me and I'm just going to write this like Microsoft Word document, but.
Well, it's hard because being friends too, you're like, oh, guess what happened yesterday? Or like, you get sidetracked.
That.
It's a form of discipline though.
It is.
In a way.
It was. And it is something that like Lacey and I are very much like, we just want to chill. Like, let's paint today. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a hike. Let's go whatever. And we have to be but I also find that even with Tyler, like I have to say, like, babe, we gotta like sit down and get serious about this, because he's learning to code right now, and like I want him to succeed in that. I want to hang out with him, and like I just want to sit with him on the couch and watch some dumb movie and just be near his presence. But I also am like,
I should not talk.
Honey, you need to go do your thing. Like, you need to go do your school. And like we'll set time limits where he's like, okay, I have these 2 classes, probably like another hour. Okay. Then in an hour, like I'll try not to bother him, like I'm like the dog where I'll like walk in the room like, okay.
Oh, you're still in there, huh? Interesting.
Just to verify his
like,
do you know it's 4:13? Okay.
Yeah. But I think that like even with us, we'll say like, okay, we got to get a podcast done today, or we got to like get this done today. And I think it has to be like that with a lot of my friends, because they are also creators. Like Brandon, he knows when we all come over, like he wants to chill for a minute, but he'll like slowly just like sink away into his office to go get some stuff done. And I'm like, that's perfect. I'm glad he feels comfortable doing that. Yeah. Because it is like, I'm trying to be your friend, but I'm also trying to run a business and have a passion and like, see ya. Like he's slowly like, see ya. So I think for our friends specifically, because we're all just kind of like creating and growing and whatever, even if we're not all entrepreneurs, like
right,
we all have to take that time to like get our shit done and hang out, because you can do it. You just got to have boundaries. You
gotta have boundaries, and you gotta like try to balance it. Like, oh, like we can do that thing. We could play Super Smash Bros. But like, let's get this done first. Yeah. Like, give yourself a little bit of cookies.
Let's drink all the beers all the way up until then, and then like when we're ready.
Right. Dude, that's another thing. Like trying to be productive. Like there's so much like weed and alcohol in my world. Like, it's just always
hard.
But I know. Like I go to the Portland studio, and they'll like the engineers. Like they'll be smoking all day, and they're totally fine with doing it. And they're like, the people come in, like rappers come in, and they're smoking, and they're more comfortable, and there's a couple drinks, and they got a couple friends. It's so weird. Like, it is still work though. Like, it's fun. Like, that whole situation could turn into just drinking and hanging out.
Yeah.
But you got to be like, okay, I'm in that vibe now. Let me pull myself out of that vibe
and get to work.
Like
you have to have like a plan beforehand.
Right.
Like, remember how you were, I think we've talked about this. Like, I have to set my art studio up before I can go paint if I think I'm going to smoke or drink. I have to have things like prepared for me to work, or my mindset has to be, I'm doing this to assist me in my creativity or assist me in my productivity.
I feel like I've gotten that down pretty well down here. I pretty much have it set up like to where it's ready to go. Like, whatever, like I can be intuitive, and I can like, oh, I feel like doing that creative thing right now. I can do it, but like you do got to prep like ahead of time, like make sure it's all laid out. I want to get better at like I want to get a bunch of like creators down here and a bunch of musicians and stuff, and I want to be like the guy who's like gets us working.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, all right.
We need like stations.
Yeah.
I need that compartment. Like, give me this workstation and you can be here in your little space.
Right.
And then like you can still chat with everyone, but like hear me? You can still chat with everyone because everyone needs to be talked to.
Louder.
I am the worst.
I'm like,
Dude,
weren't we
it's
just
hard.
talking about this?
Oh my gosh.
You got to make little cubby holes though, I guess.
Put up your folders.
It's hard. I don't know, creating something without somebody else's rules is difficult. Like being a creator, you don't go and say, be here Monday at 8 a.m. unless you say, be here at Monday, 8 a.m. Like you don't get this particular thing done until you say it. You got to like create your own. And I think learning that power, like, is great for entrepreneur, but it's good for everybody. Like, it's great for like, it's like a powerful skill that I slowly feel, I guess it's another change, is like sharpening. Like getting,
there you go.
Like,
that is a big change, actually.
Yeah.
Telling yourself you have to do it.
Yeah. Like
and
making
you will
your
do
own work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So change is fucking fantastic. Change is great. I feel like allowing yourself room for change and allowing other people to change and I think like just really letting yourself see yourself as like, like with this podcast, for example, I'm like, there's gonna be a time where I think I'm sounding cool and I've changed and like all these things, but like in 3 years, I might listen to this exact same wording and be like, I was an idiot. I changed a lot since then.
Though.
Yeah. This is impermanence, man. That's what this is all about. Life is always changing. And I think if you just kind of like point your sails at growth, just like believing in yourself, as corny as it sounds, but like just knowing like, hey, I'm doing this thing right now and I'm going towards improvement though. So even if it's not working out for me, I know that it's going to.
Dude, I've been listening to the Rachel Hollis podcast.
So good. Is it the Rise
I'm
Together
reading one of her
Yes.
books right now.
Shaylee
Oh
just
my
finished one of her
God.
books.
The Rise podcast.
Yeah.
It's so good. She's so, I
Yes.
just am like amped every time I listen to it. But she said something that was pretty profound for me that was like, one of her podcasts, I think the name was like, you're not prepared for who you're going to be in 2 years. And she like sat on the stage with like her CFO, her husband, because her and her husband are like the CEOs of the company, her like creative, her social media, like all these like bosses essentially in her company. And she basically said like, every person on this stage is not prepared for who they're going to be in 2 years or what they're going to need to know or their skills. But we're like constantly learning, and every time we make a mistake, we learn from it. And it was like, that was a good feeling and good, like something to hear, because I'm always thinking like, man, I really wish I knew this, like the Excel thing. I wish I knew more about Excel. Okay, well in a month I could know a hell of a lot more about Excel if I just put my mind to it, and I know that that's part of what I need to learn, I don't know, that was a profound little like...
Dude, I mean, that's everything. Instead of saying like, I don't know this, it's literally all you have to do is say like, I have the capability of knowing that,
I can learn it. Yeah.
And then when you just like believe that and you just put in the work, you'll be surprised. You'll be like, oh yeah, if I like, and I don't think you ever get to points. I feel like we learn a lot of Excels. Like we learn a lot of those things without us realizing, like, we'll be like, shit, I don't really know this. But we don't really stop to be like, oh damn, I'm doing Excel right now. I didn't know. Oh shit! I forget to do that. Like that's how we are, dude. Like you just have to like I don't know how to do that, but I can do it. Or like I don't know how to handle that thing that's coming up, but like I trust that when that time comes, I'm gonna be prepared. I'm gonna know. And if I'm not gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure that out too.
Well, Corona. I'm just kidding. No, I think with me, I've just been. Every day I want to grow. Like that's been my mindset, has just been, I don't want to take steps back. Like whatever I do, even if it's making a mistake, okay, I'm growing from that. Like I'm not going to go backwards. And I think that's the way to like just look at life right now, is just wanting to be a better person than I was the day before.
Like, dude, just think about that. Like in 5 years, if you do that every day, like it's inevitable that you're going to be like, oh, I'm in more advanced than I was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like it's
because you're making the choice.
Yeah.
You just got to make that choice. That's like, I'm going to lean towards growth. a growth mindset. That's what I'm going to do. Growth mindset.
It's all about how we handle situation. It's literally us. Like, we make our decisions. Yes, things happen to us, but it's how we handle it and grow from it. Like, you can choose. Like, last year I could choose to drink every weekend and I'm going nowhere. Or this year I'm like, wow, I'm realizing so much about myself because I'm sober.
Honestly, when you were doing all that, like, you were making a lot of memories with a lot of people.
Yeah, it was.
Because sometimes, like, you're like, oh, I just drank a lot, but like, I have a lot of memories with a lot of people, and like, I grew a lot of friendships through that, and then I also had to be sober and then realize, are these my friends or are these my party friends?
Yeah.
I also have my pants up and I have to pee extremely bad.
Give it a couple more minutes.
Sorry, I just
really
focused with your pants and your being.
You peeing your pants.
I unzipped my pants and I hope you can hear it on the...
No, it was a super fun year. Like I said, I don't regret anything. I do have a lot of great memories, but yeah, like, looking at myself, like, I should have been being okay with being single and being alone, and instead I was like, I need to be around people. I can't be by myself. And
Who says you should have been, though? Who is it that tells you should have been? That's the question. That is it. It is the question, though, because you have like I noticed you saying, like, I made the wrong choices, but like, who decides that those are the wrong choices, or were they just things that you did, and in the moment that was the best you knew what to do with the knowledge you had?
Yeah,
that's what you felt you needed at that time.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you realized, because you learned and you decided to grow.
Yeah,
I feel like when it comes to not every situation is the same, but when it comes to like vices, I feel like I'm so sympathetic, or right word, but I just like, I get it. Like, sometimes we're just going through some shit. Like, sometimes I'm in that stage of I'm just smoking a lot of fucking weed right now, where I'm drinking more than I want to right now. I think I'm kind of dealing with some shit. Like, I feel like even those sentences, like those things, like to the people around you is like, oh, okay, like, I understand, like, because I get those same things, instead of, we see everybody as like, oh, you're an addict, or you have this thing, or like, oh, you're drinking a lot, or all these things, but it's like, fuck, we all have that, man. It's like the homeless guys, like, a lot of times maybe they have like, they're shooting needles into their arms and their vice is a lot worse than ours. But like, do we all, just humans have the capability of not only being like addicted to things, but of using like a way of living as, avoidance, but also enjoying life, because it's not like we're like, I'm trying to make myself miserable. Like, you're enjoying your life.
Like, I definitely had fun.
Exactly.
Think about the value of like the glass tabletop outside. There's like a little bit of green algae on the sides, and it's a glass table. We've all been on a deck having those late night conversations drunk with friends before at a glass table. Like, that's valuable.
Those conversations built your relationship, right? Those times that
we've had a lot of drunk conversations.
It's fine, dude. Everybody, it's okay. Just know that like when you want to, like, if it's something that you want to step into, or you want to be a growth mindset person, it's coming,
The cool part is, like, all of us who have like partied together are also growing together.
Yes.
So like there is, I mean, there are obviously a few who have like kind of strayed off, or they started having kids long before we did, so we're not sure about that type of, but we're still like, there's still a pretty big group of us, and I feel like a lot of my friends are in the same mindset as I am, or the same realm. Like, I think I'm in my time of life where like y'all are in the same. So I don't feel like I'm like my friends. I can't like go to my friends and be like, oh my God, you guys, I learned this cool thing today. Like, it's too much for somebody to grasp. The friends that I can't say that to, I'm not even friends with anymore, or I don't talk to. Yeah. Like, I feel like at any time I can be like, Jake, guess what happened today? This cool thing happened. Matt, guess what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Absolutely. I love getting texts like that.
Yeah.
When you know somebody's going to be supportive, like, in this genuine, like, they're like, dude, like, if you told me, like, guess what happened today, and it's something that just happened with you, it has nothing to do with my life, like, it would genuinely bring me joy to my life over here. You're like, hey, this good thing happened to me, and I love you guys as my friends, so like, of course I'm going to be filled with joy for you. Right. Yeah, it's cool to have that. I think we get used to a lot of like, not just like mean or like self-deprecating, but like a lot of like, dude, you're not super encouraging to me, are you? Or, or just like making fun of people, or like friendships that don't really like fill you with much encouragement. I had yesterday or 2 days ago, I walked out of the house, and it was just like a reminder of like my family, of like the being made fun of thing. Like I had someone who I haven't seen him in years. He's like a cousin's friend, or maybe like one of my distant cousins, picking up my mom's car. Essentially, I walked out of the house and I was wearing like a brimmed hat, and he just goes, "What the fuck?" And like those sort of things, it was just this quick like example of like, oh yeah, that's like why I don't choose to even surround myself with these sort of people.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that it's like family is relevant. Like I'm not just super close to my family, so that's an easy avoidance for me.
Yeah.
But things like that are a reminder. Like I wasn't upset. It was more just like, oh yeah, like I don't hang out with people. Like I haven't heard anybody insult me like that for a while. Like I haven't heard people make fun of me all the time.
And
Yeah.
or what you're.
I haven't had to explain my outfit to everyone I'm hanging out with every day for a while. Oh yeah. Like I'm just being myself and my friends accept me,
Yeah.
like normally if I walk out and it was 5 of my friends standing out there, they'd be like, oh, like, or they would probably just talk to me and not notice my outfit because I'm just wearing it's a fucking piece of clothing on me, whatever.
Yeah.
Or they would compliment me if they really did like it or whatever. And I think that outside of like physical appearance stuff, I think when we say things like when we're dreamers out loud, or when we're like, talking about real things, we have people who aren't supportive sometimes, I think just being encouraging to your friends is good, and choosing friends that are encouraging to you.
Yeah, I've definitely the past couple of years had to choose, do I want to really continue? Like I really, because
putting effort.
Yeah, like before I didn't really think about it. And then when you go through traumatic stuff, or like you're trying to focus on yourself and it's not just a party friend, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I really want this person in my life. Like they bring benefits to my life. They bring joy. They're positive. I've really had to decide on certain friends throughout the past years. Like they're not nice.
Yeah.
Like I could say a lot of mean things. I'm just going to say they're not nice, or, so.
I think I have a lot of friends who are just surface friends. Who I'm like, I value you as a person, but I don't think we have a lot in common anymore, or I don't think that we have a lot to talk about, or whatever. And like, I still hold you to the highest with the utmost respect. Like I just we don't see the same, or have the same lifestyle, or understand the same things.
Yeah.
And like, I still respect you as a person, and I would love to like, sure, I'll grab coffee with you and I don't mind, but like, I'm not going to go out of my way to put forth effort to keeping this relationship going if it's not going to benefit, not like in a selfish way, but like I need my lifestyle and the people in my life to be supportive and strong and equal. I need someone to level up. Like I need my friends to level up to where I'm at.
Yeah, you can literally say I don't hang out with people who make fun of me.
Yeah.
Or I don't hang out with people who aren't encouraging.
Yeah.
You can say that, and you can pick your friends.
Because it is straining when you're hanging out with someone and you're trying to have this vibe and be positive and talk about important things, or just having like real deep conversations. If I'm sitting there with someone and they don't want to have like talk about something, it's all superficial. Like they don't want to talk about real stuff. I'm like, well, this is who I am. Like I want to talk about it. Let's dive in deep. Like I want to know who you are. I genuinely care about like your life. But if they're like, nope, like I don't know, it just depends. And I get some people are closed off, but if it's a continuous things like over the years and you can't get to know who your friends are and they don't want to share and they're negative around you, it's kind of like, okay, same thing. Like, oh, we're still friends, but I kind of just like need people in my life that.
That's the thing. That's self-love right there. Honestly, just choose. You're not. It's they are who they are, and you can't control that. That's fine. Like you don't hate their guts and hope they die.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm choosing to follow. Like what's true to me is to surround myself with people who influence me, and unfortunately, like you don't seem to be doing that. And I think that's okay.
Yeah,
I think that's looking out for yourself. I think
it's hard for some people to hear, but I also think it's so important for people to hear. And the other thing is, like I know that like I've seen the ugliest and the worst of my friends, and the reciprocal. Like I have also shown them the ugliest and the worst of me, and they're still here. And there are friends who, like, when they see the uglier parts, you can feel them slack off.
Oh, right.
And, they might have friends who they are willing to show their ugliest to, but it's not me. Or, I think everyone probably has that, but I definitely feel myself being more, like, drawn to spending time with people who I feel like I can go wake up and roll out of bed and look like shit and feel like shit and talk weird and say dumb things. And they're just like, we're still friends.
Yeah.
Like I support you. You're cool.
Right.
Like your brimmed hat You know, like I probably would be like, hey,
What
I like
about
the
it?
hat. I like the hat. Also, though, if that guy would have said something like, whoa, not a fan of your hat, you know, like I don't love that, or something along the lines that personally brought it to him and his decision on it versus you wearing it. Like,
right.
oh, sorry. He, instead of him saying, what the fuck, he
Right.
could have been like, hey, nice hat, bro. Not a huge fan, but like you seem like you like it. Then you'd be like,
Right.
and move on. Like y'all would have
Yeah,
moved on.
what he really meant was that hat is not something that I would wear.
Right.
That's what he meant to say, but instead he said, what the fuck? And it's just so like, but it was funny because I used to like, something like that would get me self-conscious about it. Like, fuck, dude, is this hat stupid? Like, I don't want to deal with that. Or I'd be like, I don't want to deal with thinking everyone is in their mind or to their significant other saying what the fuck when I go to Walmart or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's,
Yeah.
I'm so hungry. My stomach growled, so if you guys just heard that.
okay, hey, let's end it out anyway because I want to grab another beer and we'll get some food.
I
So
don't want to pee my pants.
Mackenzie and Jessica, I appreciate you both. Thanks for coming over and talking about
I
a
love
little
you guys
bit of
so
whatever.
I'm so happy this happened.
We can do it fairly often.
Okay.
We'll get it popping when
We're
you're
back
in town.
close again too, so that shit's easy.
Yeah, exciting. Yeah, I plan this thing's gonna keep going for a while. So give the listeners a message.
Love yourself.
Love yourself.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive.
Yours is
Honestly.
way more
Actually,
important.
use hand sanitizer.
Oh yeah,
Please
don't
use
spread
hand
corona.
Yeah.
That's a message.
Off to yourself.
Wash your hands, love yourself, and use hand sanitizer.
And wipe
after
your
you already-
butts.
And wipe, but
And stop
not in
buying
that
all the
order.
toilet paper. Yeah. Like, we need some
I have a
too.
bidet upstairs.
Can I steal a roll?
I know Shanny said, I'm getting this bidet going. Or I'll get Jake to get the bidet going.
It's funny because it's way cleaner than toilet paper. Like we just dry wipe our butt and say that's good. Imagine if you had poop on your hands and you just wipe it off with it dry. You'd be like, that's good. Let's go over my day. Like we're so gross. What the fuck is going on? Anyway, use a bidet, wash your hands, love yourself. See you later, Junkyard lovers.
Hi, bye.
Bye.